Okay. Okay. Welcome to Lorecast, the things you didn't know but probably should know. I'm your host, Marvel.
And I'm Logan.
Alright, and we're back. We're back on Dream SMP. We're getting into Season 3, which is going to take us probably quite a few parts to cover, or what I consider to be Season 3. Because first two seasons, we're really only following my beautiful baby boy favorite character, Tommy. Now we're getting into like 12 different perspectives. We're going to be jumping between people that are like lore important. I forgot to cover this in the previous part, so I'm going to talk about it now. The symbolism of Ranboo and the discs. So I kind of talked about this last time, but when it comes to Ranboo and like his Enderwalk state versus himself, his regular self is kind of associated with Mellohi, where he'll hear Mellohi at random points throughout the story, particularly in his panic room. Meanwhile, we have his Enderwalk version associated with Cat, which is like the disc he was secretly holding onto for Dream, in which, you know what, I am a clingy duo OTP kind of person, but I gotta apologize to my Allium Duo fans. My fault. I was not aware of your game. I get it now. I'm there. Are you ready?
Yeah,
you ready to get into this? Okay.
Alright.
Season 3. So we already have a new character we're gonna talk about. We have Foolish, who's right here in this little fandom interpretation for you guys. So Foolish is a living totem of undying. Oh, so like remember how I mentioned checking out a totem of undying in his inventory?
That's why it looks like that.
He is a living
like that.
totem of undying, possible like god of the sea type thing. Like he's some level of divine creature, kind of on the same level as Phil, where he is some form of immortal being, vastly powerful, but not exactly a god himself, I don't think. Or if he is, he's more of a minor god.
Demigod?
No, because Wilbur's a demigod.
Okay.
But he's some sort of divine being. He's also a type of shark boy, which fandom do with that what you will. He's our resident Sidon. He does later. I'm not going to talk about this, but he does later have a son, I believe, named Foolish Jr., and it is adorable. He's kind of just there in the background. We're not going to talk about his son too much. But getting into that, so we're going to start off with my boy Ranboo, and I've titled this part Ranboo and Mellohi / Prison Nightmare.
No.
We're opening with angst. So Ranboo was in his Enderwalk state for the entirety of the season 2 finale with the disc confrontation. So he only has hazy memories of it. And once he realizes that, like, oh, dude, this was going on, like I was in Enderwalk again, he wants to know the truth, especially since Dream said he was the one who burnt down the community house when he had told Ranboo that Ranboo was the one who did it. So was he covering for Ranboo? Is it the truth and he was just trying to manipulate Ranboo into losing it? Okay, and he decides that he's gonna pay a visit to Dream, who is in prison currently in Pandora's Vault.
Yes.
Where Sam is our warden. And as he's walking to the prison, he starts hearing Mellohi again. And he assumes it's coming from his panic room, because he does have like a little jukebox in there. So he makes the detour to turn it off, and Mellohi can't possibly be there because Tommy has it. Tommy has both his discs now, right? And kind of he thinks more on what happened in the dream, what happened in the disc confrontation, and he gets a distance away from the panic room after turning the music off, and he starts hearing it again. Once again, returns to the panic room to stop the music, but it does not cease even after he breaks the jukebox. Like, there's no music box, there's no jukebox, there's no disc. Why is he still hearing this music? And frustrated, he kind of pulls out his memory book and he's staring at it and he asks the voice in his head if it could explain what was happening, if it had answers, but nothing. The music kept playing and he starts to like break down during this and he asks for closure, anything to keep him from having to go visit Dream. Because he doesn't actually want to go there. And he shouted until music stopped. And something felt a little different. He decided once more that the voice in his head and Dream must have been lying. Okay, he couldn't have done any of that. He couldn't have hurt his friends, couldn't have helped Dream, couldn't have burned down the community house. And he decides not to look for answers, but to stand up to Dream. And he gains almost a new control over himself. He starts a new memory book. He casts aside all the pain and the angst happening, and he's like, we're done with this. Okay? However, at the end of the stream, where Ranboo has been recording all of this, we hear a message in Morse code that translates to, "This isn't over." Right?
Creepy.
And after Ranboo has this resolution, where it doesn't matter what happened, whether or not he was helping Dream, he is his own person, he cares about his friends, his short-term memory kind of faded, where he's having an easier time recalling things. He doesn't have to check his memory book that much, but his ender walking increased. Those moments where he'd go to sleep and things would happen that he doesn't remember. He often finds his tools depleted of durability, like he's been mining. What for, he doesn't know. And he does eventually decide to visit Dream in prison. Alright, to prove he had some control over himself, to prove that Dream was lying. And the visit started fine. Ranboo was holding on to some calmness over himself until Dream insisted that Ranboo had been the one to help him. Over and over, insisting versus denying, and it didn't matter anyway. Because none of this was real. And Dream begins to blur with the voice in his head, the world glitching as Ranboo devolves into a panic, insisting he was fine. The voice was gone. He didn't do any of it. Hallucination or dream, the Morse code appears once again. And it translates to not free yet.
That's insane.
So that entire
My
visit
boy.
with Dream had been a nightmare. And he wakes up in his own house. And it's unclear whether or not the scene before with Mellohi in the panic room was also part of it, or if something else going on. So no matter what control he thinks he has, Ender Walk still exists. There is still a part of himself doing things he doesn't know about, and it could be malicious. So he decides that he does need to actually visit the prison when he is awake and find, just to make sure his breakdown hadn't been real, that it had just been a dream. To which Sam, our prison warden, confirms that, unfortunately, Ranboo had visited the prison at one point, even showing him that a signed document of Ranboo's visit, though a lot of it was written over in Ender. Sam tried to pry on why Ranboo was so concerned about this, but Ranboo refused to tell, instead insisting that Sam never let him in the prison again. To which our warden agrees.
So he went there
Yeah, so
during
he
his
did
Ender walk.
during his Ender walk, probably while he was having the nightmare.
Yeah.
He visited Dream.
So he was like barely conscious.
Yeah,
There's
barely
unconscious
conscious.
state.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So he did visit Dream and Ender walk, but what happened he doesn't know, and most of what was written in like the document, and remember like detailing his visit, was written over in Ender.
It was vague.
Yeah. So since Sam had allowed Ranboo, like when he visited an Enderwalk, to take his memory book with him into his visit with Dream, Ranboo thought there might be answer there, but opened it, and alas, no written record. Which meant it was likely that his Enderwalk version had his own book. His own memory book in a secret location that would detail everything Ranboo was missing.
Where would it be then?
But subsequently,
Oh.
it would also be all the evidence of his crimes. Yeah, so he has to figure out whether or not he wants to find it, and if anybody else does, what trouble that would spell for him. And he does, at one point in the story, I'm not sure exactly when, receive a short message from Dreams. He Sapnap had visited Dream in the prison, and Dream asked him to pass a note to Ranboo. And on first glance, with Sapnap, didn't seem like anything. It was just kind of a smiley face. So he was like, alright, fine, I'll do it. Hands the note to Ranboo, and immediately he blacks out. And Enderwalk wakes up. And we don't know exactly what the note said. Ranboo himself didn't understand it. But Ender, the Enderwalk version, did. And he does tell us what it said. Doomed are those who try to run, for it always catches up eventually.
Wow.
That's kind of where we leave our boy for now.
No.
Next is where we get into a new nation, Snowchester, and what is called Project Dreamcatcher. So Snowchester sort of came around after Doomsday, but it was officially declared a nation after Dream's imprisonment with his own Declaration of Independence and everything. Jack, Tubbo, and Foolish had been working on it. Puffy and Ranboo moved into the area later on, and it's described as an isolationist militarist colony. So its focus is kind of like isolated from everyone else. It's focused on its military and that kind of thing.
Very wordy.
However, this is a front. Because, our boy Tubbo, he's a little tired of everything going on here. All the fighting, all the politics, and the whole peaceful society thing in the Arctic is a big, bright neon sign to distract people while Tubbo works on his real goal. Nuclear warfare. That's right. Our boy here manages to invent nuclear warfare.
This guy?
This little buddy right here
This little guy.
apparently has might as well have a degree in nuclear physics, because he invents the atom bomb or something. He invents nukes. Okay, and the nukes themselves are more of a precautionary thing. He's not going to actively use them. It is just in case Dream or Techno start some.
Tommy, what kind of hobby is this?
Tubbo.
Oh, Tubbo, sorry.
Tubbo's
Tubbo. Not
Tommy isn't aware. Tommy's in blissful ignorance.
I meant Tubbo, sorry. Tubbo.
Okay.
What hobbies?
Tommy's over here like, oh, my best friend Tubbo and his bees. Meanwhile, Tubbo's like, I can and will kill everyone here. Alright.
Oh, he's gonna have some
And-
exotic names for his bombs.
Right. So
Yeah.
Jack, too, was put in charge of Project Dreamcatcher. It was called, the nukes. And so he assisted with the lab, the control panel, and the launch pad. The project consisted of 3 nukes total, in which one was tested on January 6th, 2021. So the entire server was given a 10-minute warning and told to avoid a piece of land where they were, targeting. Unbeknownst to Tubbo.
January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th, 2021.
Mm.
So unbeknownst to Tubbo, there was a very particular reason in which Jack had agreed to help Snowchester and with Project Dreamcatcher.
Mm.
And you see, he still wanted Tommy dead and planned to kill him using the nuke in a tragic accident in which Nikki would lure Tommy to the site where they were targeting with the nuke.
I forgot that both of them were together.
Yeah, so
on
they're
this.
still teamed up and trying to kill Tommy.
Oh my gosh,
Right.
from Doomsday.
While both the project and the nuke testing was successful, the assassination attempt was not, as Nikki brought Tommy there 30 seconds too late. And, like, the entire of Tommy's chat was, like, warning him, like, don't trust Nikki, run, 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 as he's, like, telling him about it. And he managed to, like, stall enough that he was just a few seconds late to getting assassinated, which is crazy. And the remaining 2 nukes were decommissioned, as Tubbo saw no current use for them. Again, they were just precautionary, right? And how's our boy Tommy doing? Since the events of season 2, he's been through some stuff, right? And he decides he too is gonna pay Dream a little visit in prison, in which he says the equivalent of "fuck you and fuck off, green boy." A little bit of closure, a little bit of bragging. Okay,
Duh.
right.
He deserved that though. He
Yeah.
deserved to do all that.
Yeah, he did a little bit of bragging, and Tommy decides. In his new venture, Wilbur's dead. He no longer has to deal with Dream. He's gonna build himself a hotel, which is gonna name BigInnit Hotel.
Wait. Does Sam Tom help?
I remember this. So a lot of people's home got destroyed in the wars. Like especially L'Manberg is completely gone now. So he's gonna build a hotel for them to stay, and he also kind of has some severe attachment issues. So he's like, please come stay at my hotel and be friends with me, please.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe
And see, Tommy, he's very good at gathering materials, but he's not a very good builder.
But
So he waddles his way over to Sam, our prison warden, and he's like, Sam, can you please build a hotel for me? Sam, please build a hotel for me. And Sam's like, I'm kind of busy watching the prison, but you know what? I have someone that can help you. And he gives Tommy a robot by the name of Sam Nook. And I want you to imagine this for a second. This 7-foot tall, like, intimidating prison warden spending his time building a robot version of himself based off of Tommy's, like, favorite video game, Animal Crossing. And Sam Nook is, like, specifically designed to help Tommy, and he's literally like a therapy robot designed to help kids suffering from trauma and abuse. And like the idea that he did that, so Sam Nook is gonna have Tommy will gather the materials and bring it to Sam Nook, and it's that way of giving him something to do, and he can visibly see his accomplishments.
That's so
awesome. Sam Nook acts as a companion to Tommy, since there's no one really around to watch him, and Sam has grown really fond of him. Like, he quite likes Tommy. It's just this little kid, so he's like, you know what, stamp of adoption. Since I'm busy watching the prison, I will build you a robot to keep you company and make sure you're okay.
He needs that.
So Sam Nook is gonna be here helping Tommy, and while he's gathering the materials to build the hotel, Tommy notices a bunch of red vines growing everywhere. So about that egg.
You mentioned that, but then you're like, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I mentioned this later too. We're going to talk about this now. So some of these events were happening during season 2, but it's just easier to talk about them now. So after our bad boy Halo here finds the egg in his statue room, where he like has a bunch of statues of his husband, it's glorious. Because he loves his husband very much. He's pulling a Hua Cheng.
Who was his husband again?
Skippy. Yeah, he's pulling out a Hua Cheng from Heavenly Official's Blessing. Right. And again, this is like going on in season 2. Right. So during this, he shows the egg to Dream and Sam, who has not yet been arrested. And they haven't seen it before, but they have a feeling that this egg could be something dangerous. And we kind of start to see the effects of what the egg is and what exactly it's doing. See, it almost, in a weird way, possesses Bad, where he goes from intrigued by it to increasingly affectionate and protective of it. Like, he takes great offense when they imply that the egg might be dangerous.
Mama bird.
Yeah, he goes full mama bird on the egg. Right? And these blood vines growing from the egg have slowly been spreading across the server. It's all over his and Skippy's mansion. It's, like, covered Schlatt's grave and other places around the server. And most people have an adverse effect to the egg. Like, it actively disturbs them. They don't want to be anywhere near it. But Bad, another guy named Ant Frost, who we'll be calling Ant throughout this, Ponk, and Puffy seem to understand his desire to protect it and take care of it. And they too are slowly falling under the egg's control. Where it, like, whispers to them to like, take care of it, to help it grow. And Bad, he starts planting more vines around the server, encouraging it to grow. And Bad and Antfrost appear to be the only ones who can actually hear the egg. The rest kind of feel the whispers and the way it affects him, but he can actually understand and hear it, along with Antfrost. Right, and it speaks in Galactic, I think I said before.
Galactic?
And, yeah, the Galactic alphabet. It's the enchantment language in Minecraft. And Puffy, too, grows increasingly infatuated with it. And the way the egg controls and possesses people is it promises something you desire. Your greatest want. And for BBH and Ant, it was love.
Love.
Bad wanted Skeppy, his beloved, his favorite in the whole world, and Ant wanted a man named Velvet, who was his boyfriend at the time in real life. Mm-hmm. So the egg promised them their partners in this eternal, safe love between them. Mm-hmm. Sam, however, is one of the people who has an adverse effect to the egg. He doesn't like it, he wants it gone, and he attempts to remove the egg, and he's worried about what it's doing to his friends. But 'tis thus thwarted, for Puns, who too is, like, growing affectionate of the egg, witnesses him, and they fight over it. Oh wait, no, sorry, I got that wrong. It's like a Bad and Ant who attempt to fight Sam, and Puns, who was nearby, sees the fight and kind of teams up with Sam. Mm. And they agree that they're going to wait until they have some more allies to make a move and try and get rid of this egg that's infecting anyone. Now, there are a few ways, it seems, to avoid the egg's whispers and control. Specifically, one building called Church Prime. And it was built by Tommy.
You mentioned
with kind of like the help of Dream. And it was initially built in season 1 as like a joke to get people to subscribe on Twitch. Though it was later rebuilt into a much fancier building by Sapnap, Puns, and Aerith. And it isn't a particular religion itself, but since Tommy kind of built it as a joke with Dream and sort of about Dream, it seems to now function under XD's jurisdiction, where it almost by de facto becomes a church and worship of him, as he is the main god of the server. And that's kind of why I discussed religious trauma as a possible trigger warning in part 1, because, like, the idea that in exile, Tommy's being tortured by, like, the mortal incarnate of a god he built a church to worship.
You did say that you like to hear people like talk about it more in depth.
Yeah, like it'd be so cool to see people get into that. And the fact that Tommy is, I guess, canonically religious, which is wild. Like, establish his own religion. And later, we see that Church Prime is an active defense against the egg. Where, like, if you, like, wash yourself in the holy water, it, like, gets rid of any possession that affect the egg.
Baptism.
Yeah. At one point, Ponk gets himself a piece of the egg, which he calls Little Red, where, like, a piece broke off, and he just kind of keeps it and takes care of it, like, he puts it in a glass case. And at one point, like, he dubs it Little Red, and at one point, it does get splashed in the water and turns green, which seems to be another effect of XD here.
Oh.
So his power seems to be a direct offense toward the egg. And interestingly, there are a few people who are completely immune and unaffected by the egg in any capacity. They are not disturbed by it, nor can they be possessed by it. And there are two that we know of. There is Foolish, who appears entirely immune, though he does lose his immunity later. We'll get into how. And there is Tommy. And Tommy is the only one that I know of who's not only immune, but does not lose his immunity under any circumstance. Which is, again, is really interesting that the church that stops the egg was built by the one person who has complete and total immunity. So that could also be Tommy's influence there, or because he built the church and is, like, technically head of it, he gets sort of, like, a special treatment by XD, or whatever is going on. And, like, once again, how, so I mentioned Ponk finds a little piece of the egg called Little Red, and he does agree that the egg is bad juju, and people should avoid it. We, too, start to see the possession affect him as well, and it's sort of a slow, gradual process where he starts complimenting the egg. He encourages Sam to touch the vines to help comfort him, and he admits that he has been talking to Little Red sometimes, just out of habit. And it seems Sam is our next big target for the egg. And again, this is all kind of going on in season 2.
I feel like the egg symbolizes something, but I'm not, like, quite sure.
Yeah.
To be exact, it does have, like, some symbolism that would relate to other religions and some type of certain way. I just, like, can't think of one right now.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of
temptation.
Yeah, the idea of temptation, and I myself am not religious or anything, but remember when we read Mother Horse Eyes?
Yes. Oh,
where it talked about,
yeah.
like, one of the repeated lines was, "Come on to these yellow sands," and, like, it talked about, like, Satan trying to tempt Jesus with, like, the stone that he turned into bread and that kind of thing. So I could see, like, some ties in there as well if you want to really get into some, like, possible religious symbolism, which is really interesting.
The
Jack,
concept's amazing.
Right? Jack, too, is a bit influenced by it. He manages to ward it off with the holy water from the church, but he does later find a vine in his inventory, and he kind of plants it in Connor's house. Connor, I don't have a picture of him, but he's the guy in the Sonic onesie who keeps showing up in this lore. He never does anything, but I keep having to bring him up because he just manages to be in the right place at the right time, and I have, like, a passive-aggressive relationship toward him, where every time he shows up, I'm like, oh god, this guy, again, what are you doing here?
Like, what's his name again?
Connor Eats Pants.
What?
That's his full gamer tag.
Dang.
But,
oh my gosh.
I got, like, beef with him, okay? Either you need to serious up, or I gotta silly down and get myself a Sonic onesie as well, okay? We gotta be on equal level if I'm gonna talk about you, buddy boy. Every time, he's just randomly there. He never does anything. He's just there. Now I have to talk about him because he's there.
Oh my gosh. Wait, this is great. Hold up. This is cute.
Yep.
This is cute.
Connor Eats Pants. Look at him go.
There you go. There's the picture.
There he is.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Alright. So, although maliciously, Jack is too helping the egg spread. Now, at some point in the story, Sam, he goes to check on Bad, how he's doing, how the egg's doing, and he notices that the egg has grown much larger. and the vines too were spreading further and further, and he and Sapnap agree that the egg is bad news, okay, and they're gonna try to blow it up. Ooh. And in which they do manage to destroy a part of the egg.
Tubbo?
Get Tubbo and his nukes. Right. So they do manage to blow up part of the egg, to which Bad falls into a complete panic. He disregards the concerns, even saying that they should sacrifice themselves to help fix the egg, right, so it can heal faster. And Sapnap and Sam, they flee the scene, and while working on the prison, again, this is kind of happening in season 2, Sam, so while Sam is working on the prison, right, Skeppy, Bad's husband, bestie, partner-esque thing, goes to see him, and he asks Sam for help in removing the vines around his and Bad's mansion. Skeppy himself seems sort of neutral about the egg. He would just like Bad to be back to normal, please. He misses his boy. And we discover yet another weakness of the egg. So it appears to be weak to blue fire, which is soul fire in the game, where it is literally like the burning of souls. And we discover that like that seems to be the only permanent way to get rid of the vines, or else they'll just grow back.
Yeah.
And then Bad and Puffy, these two who are fully possessed, they kind of like cover the egg in obsidian so that it can heal after the explosions. Mm-hmm. And Sapnap, he's not going to show up too much when we talk about the egg, but him being against it is really, really important.
Okay.
Because he has a connection to Bad Boy Halo. He is Bad's... I'm not sure he's biological, but he is at very least Bad's sort of adopted son. Where they're both of demonic origin.
Another one.
Yeah, they're both of demonic origin, and it's implied that Bad just sort of found him and was like, you're my son now, we're having soft tacos later. So Sapnap is lending a helping hand wherever he can to try and get his dad back to normal, which is adorable, right? And this is where, once again, we get another weakness of the egg.
So there's 3?
There's a few weaknesses. So there's like the soul fire, there's the church, and then there's obsidian. See, when Puffy and Bad locked the egg in obsidian to help it heal, it appeared to have a dampening effect on its powers, where the obsidian managed to lessen the control of the egg, and those who were under its possession before felt no such strong attachment to it. And this is kind of shown by Bad's calm reaction when Skeppy admits to removing the vines of their mansion. So Bad, Puffy, and Skeppy, they continue to remove more of the vines from the egg room, and like as they're getting through, like trying to clear out the statue room, curiosity kind of gets the better of Skeppy. So he hasn't really looked at the egg. He knows about it.
Hey.
He knows Bad is very protective of it, but he gets a little curious, and he breaks part of the obsidian, covering it.
Curiosity kills the cat.
But satisfaction brought it back. That's the full saying, by the way.
I was like, I never heard that part.
Yep.
I was like, curiosity.
That is not the case here, though.
Oh.
See, as soon as he breaks the obsidian, control immediately returns to the others. But Skeppy, see, he manages to convince Bad and Puffy to leave the room. See, he wants to be alone with the egg, to really get to know it, understand why they're so protective of it. And as soon as they're gone, he seals up the obsidian again to free their minds. But as a result, traps himself in the obsidian with the egg. And once again, control ceases, and now we're left with Bad, Ant, and Puffy, who now have to figure out a way to get Skeppy out of there without falling under the egg's control again.
Damn!
Yeah. Whole thing.
You'd say that there's only 2 that are immune to the egg.
Yeah, and
Sam,
they to no avail can't think of anything. But Bad at one point does manage to free Skeppy, where he decides to take the risk. Maybe if he's fast enough, he can get Skeppy out and seal the egg, and he does. Grabs Skeppy, seals up the egg, but the prolonged exposure, being stuck there with the egg for days, has completely corrupted Skeppy.
No.
See, while he was neutral about it before, constantly stuck there with it, hearing its whispers, it has completely invaded his mind, and it actually changes his color scheme. See, Skeppy himself is sort of made out of diamonds. He's like this living mineral. And he's like turned a blood red, where all traces of the blue are gone. And he expresses no emotion. While the others had this deep infatuation for the egg, they still had a sense of themselves. Skeppy does not. He has no emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no emotion, and more so, no love for Bad. That connection they had before, that romance, he doesn't feel it, doesn't acknowledge it. All he expresses is a desire to return to the egg, to curl up with it once more. And Bad, he enlists the help of Puffy, and together they try to remind Skeppy of who he really is. They use some significant items to try and trigger his memory, his treasured possessions, but this only enrages Skeppy. See, the longer they pester him, the longer he's away from his beloved egg. And he ends up destroying a statue that Bad had made of him, right? As well as turning violent against them. He threatens them to drop their gear and manages to kill Bad, so he's down a canon life, before Puffy manages to kill Skeppy with a sword she had hidden. In which, interestingly, when she killed him, she found the disc Cat.
But you said
Oh,
that
man.
Tommy has both discs.
Apparently not.
Huh?
See, again, this is in season 2, what's going on here.
Oh.
So this is while Tommy's kind of in exile and going through these things. He doesn't have his discs at that time.
Oh, wait, so this is a flashback, my bad.
Yeah.
But
So,
why does he?
Dream Tubbo at this time has Mellohi.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tommy handed it to him before he was exiled.
And then Tommy...
This is the full story of what happened to Cat. So I said before that, like, Dream had it, and I was like, no, well, he does get it by the end, but Ranboo was holding on to it for him. And now we figure out what was going on with Cat before Ranboo and Dream. See, do not be fooled by the beautiful love story and magical marriage between Bad and Skeppy, because they're kind of evil jerks. Okay, remember how I mentioned the Badlands in, like, season 1? They're just gonna help whatever losing side just to add more chaos. They're kind of jerks, man. Right, see, Skeppy has Cat because of a thing where, like, when he first joined the server, he was killing a bunch of Dream's pets and managed to, like, con him into giving him one of Tommy's discs. Because he planned to use them against Leverage as Tommy, too, where he was like, oh, this is the thing this kid cares about? Okay, yeah, I'll take one of those and I'll see if I can mess with him later. Yeah, do not be fooled by the love story. They're evil. So Bad, after this whole thing with the egg, he does return Cat to Skeppy. So Skeppy once again has it. The later Dream and Ranboo will have it. And Skeppy he runs away. He establishes a new little house, right? Because he doesn't want to live in the mansion with Bad anymore. Not if Bad is going to be acting this way and keeping him away from the egg. Right? And Bad and Puffy, they lose hope. Okay? There seems to be nothing they can do to fix Skeppy, remind him of who he is, even with the egg sealed up. So Bad, he just kind of moves into that new little house with Skeppy to stay with him. Because, like, it's still the man he loves.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just gonna stay with him until they can figure out a way to fix it.
I just have, like, a lingering thought. It's in a live egg, so...
Yeah, it is living.
who knows when it's gonna hatch and what's gonna come out of it.
Yeah.
Dude, no. That's gonna be so bad.
And this, dear friends, with the backstory of the egg now in place, this was what was going on in season 2.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Are we back?
Yeah, we're back in season 3 now.
Okay.
We're at present day.
Present day.
So all of that was happening during season 2 and what was going on in the last part. See, Bad and Puns, now that the egg has been sealed for a while, they go to check on it after it was sealed in obsidian, and it has grown immensely. It's actually eaten and absorbed some of the obsidian. So it's slowly, like, evolving and growing immune to the obsidian's effects.
It's been eating its weakness.
Yes. So it's, like, learning to adapt.
Dude, no,
okay?
that's
and
scary.
It has an effect on the environment, and it causes, like, changes, like, it turns water into lava, and blue wool dyes into red wool just by being near it. It is infecting and corrupting anything near it. Right, and with the help of Ant, they seal off the entire statue room and make an area to sort of contaminate people with hazmat suits and the holy water from Church Prime. And Bad, to test something, places the contaminated red wool he found into the holy water. And it turns blue once more.
So the holy water helps...
Yeah, the holy water is a complete cleansing process, and he hopes maybe this could be something that could help cure Skeppy.
It should.
Who is still infected throughout all
the
this.
The power of Christ compels you.
You're right. The power of XD compels you. Or I guess it would be an X. The power of XD compels you.
The Lord, the Holy Spirit.
Dump a bucket on him.
Dump him in the bath.
He's like a rabid cat, just like trying to push him into the bath.
Pick him up by the scruff. Drop him in.
Exactly. Yeah. Get Techno. Techno's friends with Skeppy. Just pick him up, toss him in.
Oh, that would be fun for him.
So on December 30th, 2020. So this is a little before kind of Tommy decides to build his hotel and all of that. Bad meets up with Eret. That's right, Eret's back. He's here, guys. They go into the statue room to kind of get some gunpowder for a firework project Eret is working on, and once again, the egg has grown even more, spreading lava and magma throughout the entire statue room. And Bad left some vines, some of the blood vines on top of Puns' tower. And it's sort of a warning system. If the vines grow, that means that the egg has broken contaminant. So if those vines start growing, they know that what they used to seal it up is broken and they need to do it again. Puffy, too, checked on the egg and appeared to still have some of those lingering effects of possession, as she talks about it sweetly. So Bad, Ant, Puns, and Puffy, they have a meeting, okay? And they need to figure out what they're going to do about this egg, okay? How can they get rid of it if they decide to? They know some of its weaknesses, some of the ways to stop the possession, but blowing it up didn't work. If they attack it, it damages them too. So what do they do here? And Bad suggests that they set the egg free. See, it's going to break loose anyway, and maybe they could find a way to flip it, to use it, to aid the Badlands. Maybe they can get it under control and perhaps use this whatever weird power it has to sort of reinstate a peace in the server. Ant agrees, and eventually Puffy does too, though she takes quite a bit of persuading. And they set the egg free, causing Puns, Bad, and Ant to completely give in to its possession. Puffy, however, she manages to keep enough of her wits to write down that the egg will only bring suffering, and to not trust Bad.
Where did they free the egg?
It's still in the statue room, kind of like near underground Skeppy's and Bad's mansion. So no matter what anyone says, the egg is bad, and Bad isn't trustworthy. Okay?
The egg is bad and bad is
And
trustworthy.
we learn that our sweet little BBH has been completely lying the whole time. See, like Skeppy, he's been under a permanent control of the egg even while it was sealed. After all, he was the first to find it and spent months with it. So both he and Skeppy have been under its permanent control. He's just been pretending. See, if he can get all of them on his side to willingly walk into the egg's embrace, then he wins. The egg is spreading, whether or not they know it. And he establishes what he calls the eggpire. Right? And Puffy,
Eggpire.
she stays silent. And she's playing along with this thing. She's gonna be kind of their secret agent so she can figure out what Bad is doing. Right? And she and Sam kind of reach an alliance where, like, Bad tries to convince Sam to join the egg, and Puffy, like, secretly helps Sam, like, get a reason to get out of here. Right? And this is where we kind of find out that Foolish 2 is immune to the egg.
Oh.
Where, like, Bad and Ant go to convince him, but
So there's
he doesn't care.
3 that are immune.
No, it's just Foolish and Tommy.
Alright.
Before we get a little bit more into the egg, I'm gonna give you a little bit of Puffy's backstory. Yay! So, I don't know if you've noticed so far in this series, but amnesia is a very big thing.
Define amnesia again?
So amnesia is when you experience a type of memory loss. It can be like Ranboo, where he, like, almost has a short-term memory where he forgets things. There's Ghostbur, who has a form of amnesia where he can only kind of remember the happy things. Dream had temporary amnesia at one point during the Dream Saga. And Puffy, too, has a type of amnesia. And you'll see that this is a very big thing throughout the series. People forgetting things, or there's just parts of their life that they don't remember anymore. See, Puffy, she used to be a pirate captain.
No wonder she
yeah.
has those costumes.
Yeah, and she would travel the seas, and I've seen some people interpret, again, this goes with the idea that Dream might be her son, whether biological or adopted. I don't know if they were established as being canon, but it could be that, like, she doesn't fully remember Dream or something, but she was a pirate captain, and a storm hit while she was out at sea. It kills her entire crew, and she gets washed ashore on the server. And she doesn't remember anything about her life before this. She knows she was captain, she knows she has a crew, and she knows there was an accident. But even when she goes to visit, like, the wreckage of her ship, it just distresses her.
Oh.
So she too has a type of amnesia where she doesn't remember her life before washing ashore here.
But if she does, it, like, brings massive distress to her.
Yeah. Now,
My poor girl.
we're still talking egg. And now, Tommy comes in to discuss this egg. See, Sam Nuke, our robot buddy boy who's been helping Tommy build his hotel. Yeah. He seems to have been informed by Sam, the prison warden, about the egg and its evilness. And Sam was like, oh, this would be a perfect activity for my baby boy. So he manufactures this huge quest for Tommy, and he's like my future hero. There was a great evil infecting the land, and we and your trusted friends would like you to destroy it. So Sam Nook kind of gives Tommy the quest of destroying the egg.
Sam
to be a hero. Sam Nook means well, okay?
Sam!
He's just a little guy.
Go back to, like,
Yeah.
watering the flowers.
Yeah.
Tending,
So Tommy is admittedly reluctant to take on this quest, but he agrees to visit the Eggpire anyway. In which Bad and Ant welcome him with open arms, okay? And they convince him to go visit the egg without a hazmat suit on. Because it appears like the hazmat suits from Church Prime, like, help ward off the egg. And they visit him to go see the egg, to, like, touch it, interact with it without a hazmat suit. And he does. And feels nothing.
You didn't mention.
Yeah, he's immune. So he just calls the two crazy and leaves quite quickly. Right, and And I've seen some of the fans interpret that possibly part of Tommy's immunity is because of how the egg controls people. It offers them their heart's desires, and at the time, Tommy is content. He doesn't want for anything.
I guess he's already been fulfilled.
Yeah, so that could be part of his immunity. It could be because of his involvement with the church. It could be just because he's main character, and he's got the power of plot armor.
Nah. Cute.
Yeah. He later returns to see the egg once again with Tubbo trailing behind him. And Tommy's explaining how the egg works, and Tubbo decides he too wants to test how the egg will affect him. So he takes off the hazmat suit to see how he feels. And rather being entranced or feeling distaste or even unaffected, he falls into sobs. Because apparently the egg said awful things to him, which is interesting because very few people can actually understand what the egg says. It's unclear exactly what it says to him, but Tubbo is distraught to the point where he tries to walk into lava and kill himself. And Tommy, grabs his hand and he's like, no, Tubbo, put the hazmat suit back on. It's okay. It's okay. And he's trying to console Tubbo, and Bad, seeing this opportunity, tries to trap them in with the egg, like Skeppy, to kind of forcefully indoctrinate them into it. And he almost succeeds, because Tommy was kind of gonna comply. He appeared to have an immunity, so he would get, trapped with the egg, and he was like, okay, Tubbo, I just need you to run, okay? I need you to run when I tell you, but Tubbo, he's still, racked with tears. He can't, comprehend anything that's happening. And, Tommy's just, holding his hand tightly throughout the entire confrontation, and...
Clingy duo.
Yeah, quite luckily, Sam Nook intervenes.
Oh.
So he had been kind of trailing behind them just to make sure, okay, because he may be an Animal Crossing bot built to help kids with their trauma, but he was still built by a prison warden. And he's not just a caretaker for Tommy, but a bodyguard. And he just pulls out the trident and threatens Bad, saying, I shall be taking these children with me. They are under my protection.
Oh.
So he's, put himself in between Bad and the kids, right? It is his job to take care of them, and he is prepared to be decommissioned in battle if he needs to.
Oh.
Right, and they managed to get out of there without Bad following them.
Does Sam Nook have, the 3 life thing, or just because he's a creation, he only has 1 life?
Because he's creation, he kind of only has 1 life, but he's a robot. If he does get decommissioned, they could rebuild him.
Right.
So the 3 lives rule doesn't really apply to him because he's not, a living person, I guess.
Okay, I just thought of that. I'm like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on January 25th, 2021, I believe, Bad hosts another meeting between himself and Puffy and Sam, who, isn't part of... He's, like Puffy, kind of agreeing, just smiling and nodding to see if they can get information out of how to destroy the egg. And they're going to talk about where the Eggpire is going moving forward. And he states, Tommy has got to go. Okay? His neutrality, and even more so his immunity toward the egg, is what BBH considers their largest threat. I mean, Tommy does have a habit of bringing down dictators, whether he wants to or not.
Yeah.
And the fact that the egg can't control him makes him the largest threat. Right? And Puffy and Sam break character immediately. They strongly object to this, because Sam has kind of taken on almost a father figure role to Tommy. He's become very protective of him. Seeing what Tommy has gone through, and they don't know the extensive exile, but Puffy and Sam are one of the 2 who are against Tommy in exile, and Puffy herself, she a mama. She a mama Puffy, and she is in no way putting a child in danger. Okay.
Thank goodness.
Right.
Oh my gosh,
And
we
a
have
whole-
some sense into
Right,
these
some
servers.
sensible adults here.
Finally.
They strongly object. A fight breaks out, and Sam is dropped through the floor, because their meeting room is kind of above where the egg is, and he is dropped through the floor into an obsidian cage above the egg. Like, so he's trapped there. Puffy manages to run out of the meeting room and get back to the church, which it appears they can't seem to enter. Again, it's almost sacred ground in a way. So Puffy manages to escape to the church, but Sam is trapped there with him. So worried about his safety, she teams up with Tommy, lets him know what's happening, and they sneak back into the statue room and break the cage to free Sam. And he had been in there for a while before they managed to sneak in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so he appears to be kind of okay. It's described that, like, the red gem on his crown is, like, pulsing in a way. And, the egg has clearly affected his mind. We find out that his things were taken while he was in the cage, and after running out of food, he ate his own flesh to keep from starving. Which, horrified by this, Puffy and Sam, they lead him home. He is affected by the egg. He says that's fine if the egg sticks around, and even stops Puffy from destroying the blood vines that have started growing in his house.
I think that's the second time cannibalism was mentioned.
Yes, second time.
Oh.
He does quickly recover from his possession, though, like, because they managed to get there so quickly.
That's good.
It was only, like, a temporary affection, so he recovers from his possession, burns the vines in his house, but he can still hear the egg whispering to him, even, like, targeting his pet dog, Fran. Right,
the dog.
So he hides Fran away, just in case, before returning to the egg room. And following Puffy's previous example, he lies. He pretends he's still under the egg's control and tries to interrogate BBH and Anton what the egg is saying to them. Like, how it's swaying them, what plans it might have, but unfortunately he gets no answers. And this is when a new kind of group comes in. A group that the fandom has dubbed pro-omelet.
Who's in this one?
See, Puffy, while keeping an eye on Eggpire and what they're doing, determines that if they were going to recruit more members, they'd likely go to Technoblade next.
Oh my god!
See, Technoblade currently holds no allegiance, and as the reigning blood god, it would certainly fit the aesthetic of their little cult. Right, so she hides out within the egg room to keep an eye on things, and like she suspected, BBH comes in, Technoblade in tow, and interesting, Ranboo is also there.
Ranboo?
See, Ranboo kind of has a student-mentor relationship going on with Technoblade, where Technoblade's teaching him, like, kind of how to fight, lending him gear.
So, like, the same way,
that Tommy used to be for Techno.
Oh
Techno's taken in Ranboo.
Yes,
No. Right, so Ranboo's there as well. And so Techno and Phil, they've kind of been watching over Ranboo, and they're particularly fond of him because he is the youngest member of the Syndicate, which is their own little anti-government faction. Right, and BBH, he's giving a tour, and he's trying to convince Technoblade to join the cause, and he notes, quite interestingly, because the egg is whispering to him throughout this, that the egg finds Technoblade very familiar. And Techno, like, shoots down this immediately. He has no idea what this thing is. He's never seen it before. Familiar or not, they don't care. Okay, he's like, I don't remember anyone from high school, man. I didn't keep earbuds. And the egg, he attempts to whisper to Techno, but with the hundreds of thousands of voices already in his head, Techno can't hear it. The voices drown it out, sensing this malicious presence invading on what is their mind. Yeah, so
The other
literally,
minds were like,
yeah,
"Who
the
are
voices
you?"
in his head, he can't even hear the egg, which is
So
so
it's like,
interesting.
The voices are coming. The voices from the egg coming.
Yeah,
from
so in a
here, and
weird
then
way,
it, like,
he's
exit out the
so
other.
in a weird way, he too is immune, just because there's already so many voices in his head that he can't hear it.
At least there's a good side
Yeah,
of
and
the voices.
yeah,
Oh my baby.
yeah, and Puffy, she kind of steps out of hiding and convinces Techno not to join, where she's like, she's got the whole mom stance where she's got the cross arms and the look, and she's just talking about it, she's like, you sure this is where you want to go, Bad? And meanwhile, Techno's like, what does eggpire mean? And he's like Googling it in the background, and Bad's like, no, eggpire is not a government. You don't need to worry about it, Technoblade.
Hold on, I want to look in.
And so Technoblade like looks up the word empire, and he's like just reading through Google while Puffy's insulting Bad, and he's like, I'm seeing a lot of government-y words here. Right?
Yeah. So kingdom, realm, domain, territory, federation, confederation, world power. Sounds of
So
like
he's
the government.
he's like, this is sounding a lot like a government.
I literally
it's kind of my
did that.
thing. Right. And seeing no use in convincing Technoblade, the egg turns its whispers to Ranboo next, who is slightly more effective, not as immediately as the others, but you can feel it digging in his brain, and quite interestingly, as soon as it targets Ranboo, the voices in Techno's head grow restless and enraged, and they are screaming not to trust the egg and to protect Ranboo at all costs. And the fact that the voices are chat, so as soon as they see something going on with Ranboo, the entire chat is like, no, protect Ranboo, protect the boy, protect the boy.
Because they're usually like blood.
Yeah.
Death.
Yeah, and
protect.
Or E.
What?
Yeah, that sometimes chat just spans E at him.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense.
So Bad, he leads the three further into the room in an attempt to convince Techno once more. And Techno's like, dude, your name literally has the title of a government regime in it. How did you think this was gonna go?
Eggpire.
Yeah. And Bad, he attempts to turn on Puffy while Techno and Ranboo are distracted, but she overpowers him, which results in Bad, just like Sam, dropping Ranboo into the cage above the egg. So Bad kind of teleports away from the scene with Amanda Pearl to keep from Techno putting his head on a pike. And Techno, he tosses Ranboo down his trident, and the way tridents work in Minecraft is if you have, the right thing, it can, propel you.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a distance.
He does use it to propel himself a lot.
Yeah, so he throws the trident to Ranboo, and it actually takes some convincing as the egg tries to invade Ranboo's mind. And the egg, it calls him a traitor and whispers something about Dream, but before Ranboo can hear all of it, he manages to get out of the cage.
That's good.
So the egg, too, knows Ranboo's involved with Dream in some way, calling him a traitor. Right. And they manage to get him out before he falls under possession. But
good.
Ranboo and Techno, they're not the only one that the egg is targeting. See, the egg has turned its sights on Hannah.
Oh, we haven't
Yeah, I haven't talked about her. So Hannah is a fairy, actually, with a particularly strong connection to roses and nature. Having a rose garden around her increases her health and strength. It's like medicine for her. And she can even control the nature's terrain to some extent. Foolish, who's kind of our resident builder, right? He helped her build her little rose residence, which is her house. And she's been out of the conflict until now, just staying in her little garden. But one day, while she was collecting wood, she begins to feel a strange, almost feverishly strong desire to return to her home, that something is wrong.
Oh.
In which she found that it was being consumed by the blood vines and killing her roses.
No.
Alright, she attempted to get rid of them, but in coming to contact with the vines, it caused her to have an intense allergic reaction. So she can't even get close to them. And Sam, who is nearby, these two are like besties, by the way. Like, I think even before they joined the server. But she calls out to him, and he comes to her aid, and he tells her about the egg and how dangerous it is that she needs to stay away from it, while helping her remove the vines from her house. And they manage to get rid of the vines from the outside. They don't get into the inside of the house before Bad and Ant show up. Perhaps sensing the extermination of the vines due to their connection to the egg, or the egg just whispered that Sam was getting in the way of its newest indoctrinate. Right? And they were appalled by Sam and Hannah destroying the vines, but Sam, he tries to explain her allergic reaction. Keeping the vines may end up killing her. Mm-hmm. And Bad and Ant, they refuted this, saying maybe something else was causing it, since her home was covered with all these other plants and greenery. Maybe it wasn't the vines, right? And they try to convince her to at least come with them to go see the egg, to test the extent of how it would affect her and if it really is the cause of her allergic reaction.
My goodness.
Right?
No. Oh my goodness.
And after a small conversation with Sam, where she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go with them.
No.
She's like, I'm going to go with them. I want you to stay here and get rid of the vines from my house. Okay? I'm just going to humor them for a while. Yeah, so she reluctantly agrees. And before leaving, Bad and Ant, kind of look at the interior of her house, all the vines covering it. And they noticed Hannah's dogs encased in the blood vines, but they're not moving. And Hannah stated that because of her allergic reaction, she was unable to free them and killed them to put them out of their misery. Because the vines were hurting them. So she had to kill her own dogs just to keep them safe.
But Bad and
yeah.
No, not the
And
vines.
so Hannah, she leaves with Bad and Ant while Sam works on clearing out her house. Right? And as they get closer and closer to the statue room where the egg is held, Hannah continues to act stranger and stranger, falling ill the closer and closer she gets to it, nauseous and faint. She had taken a few roses with her in hopes that with them she could withstand the effects of the egg long enough for Sam to finish clearing the vines from her house. And upon entering the meeting room above the egg, she expresses her concerns that the egg may tell them to kill her, since she's trying to resist it. However, Bad stated it was quite the opposite, actually. See, the egg was particularly fond of her and wanted to help her. And Bad, interesting, while he did lie about being under the egg's possession, he doesn't really lie about what the egg is saying. The egg is extremely fond of Hannah, perhaps because she's a fairy with a strong connection to nature. And so, agreeing to a form of exposure therapy, she allowed them to take her things and put her in the cage above the egg, just to try and buy Sam more time. She just has to hold out until Sam is finished and he can come find her. But she hadn't brought enough roses for an extended period such as this. And she tried to tell Bad of her worsening illness, but she was dismissed, and eventually she passes out within the cage. And when she awoke again, all color had been drained from her body. Her roses had turned white, even her clothes had been seeped into this dull gray. And Sam had managed to break her out of the cage and was lifting her out of it to carry her home. And while carrying her, Hannah, she continues to hear the voice of the egg in her head as Sam is continually prompting her to just ignore it, to stay herself. He's gonna get her home. She's gonna be okay. And her house had been completely consumed by the vines. Perhaps as soon as she collapsed, the egg took advantage of that to destroy her home. It's probably why Sam went to go see her, where the vines had consumed her house, and he was like, oh shit, something's gone wrong. And her house, too, is drained of color. Her rose is turning white.
No.
And despite her deteriorating health, she still felt the urge to follow the egg's voice. She felt the urge to kill Sam and protect the vines, and she openly tells him this, lashing out violently in her anger. But she still has a sense of herself, and she knows that Sam wouldn't lie to her, that he's trying to protect her. So even though she doesn't want him to, she trusts him when he says that the vines are killing her and he needs to get rid of them. So, meanwhile, noticing that Hannah had gone missing from her cage, Bat and Ant appeared once more, interrogating Sam about her location. And Sam, at her house, had been successfully clearing the vines, and when he saw them approaching, he ushered her to hide inside her basement. Okay, to stay there so that they couldn't get to her, they couldn't drag her back, and he's just gonna lie. He's gonna cover for her, he's gonna keep her safe. And with the egg still whispering in her head, Hannah actually steps out of the basement, almost called to Bat and Ant as the sort of instinctual thing to reunite with those possessed by the egg, but she manages to keep her sense enough to, like, hide behind her own furniture. Like, her body is fighting against her. As she's, like, just curled up behind her furniture while Sam is trying to get them to leave. Right? And Sam at first is, like, mad and scolding her for having left the basement, but he understands that she wasn't doing it on purpose. Alright, I'm actually so in love with their friendship. Y'all, if y'all have fanfiction, send them to me.
I feel emotional.
Right?
I feel a little sick.
Alright, so Sam, like, she's still weak and fatigued and ill, so he just has her kind of sitting by while he continues clearing the vines from her house. And Hannah, with her connection to nature, expressed that getting rid of the vines, it hurts her. She can feel their pain as if it is her own. And concerned, Sam tells her just like, okay, I'm gonna ask you, like, I'm gonna handle your house. Go pick some roses. They're gonna help you feel better. I just want you to stay away from the house till I'm done. Right? And she agrees, and he'll handle the rest, and eventually her color does return.
That's good.
And the egg sort of leaves her be, showing Sam success in clearing the vines from her house and her sanctuary. And later she does too experience a form of amnesia, where perhaps because of the egg's control or because of how severely ill she fell, she temporarily loses her memories. Again, likely another plot of the egg to try and get her to return to it, as she's like convinced that, oh, this is her first time visiting the place, and she once again hears the whispers trying to compel her to go see the egg. But Sam finds her and manages to remind her of everything, and he's kind of keeping an eye out on her, because the egg seems insistent on having her. Like, it is the one thing the egg is, like, really intent on getting. Again, perhaps because of her fairy nature.
Yeah.
And this is where we get into some tough things. So we're kind of gonna leave what's going on with the egg
To another
there.
perspective.
Yeah, we're gonna flip to another perspective here. And we've left the egg behind, and we're kind of circling back around to our main boys, Tommy.
Okay.
Right? Like, as I said, we're flipping through a bunch of different perspectives here. Now, Tommy, he once again goes to visit Dream to get some kind of closure for everything that happened to him. Like, he's slowly been recovering after the events of exile and Dream's manipulation, but he feels I need to prove it. Right? So he goes and he visits Dream, and while they're talking, while they're going back and forth, an explosion goes off. Like, frighteningly close to Pandora's vault. They're not sure exactly what it is, but it causes the prison to fall into lockdown. And on February 21st, 2021, Tommy is trapped in the cell with Dream.
Oh.
As the prison goes into lockdown, it just automatically shut down all the cells, leaving Tommy in there with Dream. And Tommy, he panics. Like, he goes to tie loose ends, and like, him and Dream had been fighting before the explosions go off. So he is now trapped in there with Dream, and Tommy's like immediately falls into a panic. Like, he's calling for Sam to like let him out, to get him out here, and Sam is like, I'm I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but I can't open up the cells yet till I know what happened, what that explosion was. I need to make sure nothing is wrong. Okay?
There's something definitely wrong.
Yeah, like, so he's like, I need to make sure that, like, no one's trying to break Dream out of prison. So he has to balance his care for Tommy with his duties as a warden. So he's like, I'm gonna leave you in here. I'll be back, okay? And he goes to check out what's happened. And 9 days pass.
9 days?
9 days where Tommy is once again isolated with Dream. No one else watching, and it's almost a repeat of exile.
Dead ass? Bro, no.
Where these two are stuck together. Dream's active hatred of him, and again, it falls into that repeat of exile, where Tommy feels out of control and he's trapped here with someone he knows wants to hurt him. Right, and nine days pass while Tommy's trapped here. Bad and Aunt Frost have become new guards at Pandora's vaults. Kind of in maybe hopes to kill Tommy or whatever, to at least get control of the prison, and they're like an extra security measure, right? Meanwhile, Tommy is trapped in a cell with his previous abuser, and these two are not getting along. Okay, Dream once again falls into that weird affectionate friendliness where he's like, oh, I'm so glad to have company. Like, it's great to have you here, Tommy. I missed you. And Tommy's like, away from me.
You're bullshitting again. No.
And because Tommy, so this is like a running joke in the fandom that Tommy is like a Disney princess because animals just adore him. Like, for some reason, all animals love this boy. In which, hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. Hear me out. See the vision. Hear me out. Tommy, as a Disney princess, right? But specifically Maid Marian from Robin Hood. I don't know if you guys will see the vision, and like if you're thinking of like the Disney version, you're like, oh, that's a little bit of a soft kind of passive choice for Tommy. I would like to remind you that in earlier versions of Robin Hood, Maid Marian got fed up with King John's crap, fled the castle herself to go find Robin Hood and the merry men, and because she was disguised, she ran into Robin Hood, who was also disguised in the woods, and these two dueled to the point where she almost killed him. So, see the vision. See the vision, please. Please see the vision. Right, this is like, okay. But because Tommy is like apparently a Disney princess, a cat somehow manages to teleport into the cell, which is crazy because that shouldn't be possible. But Tommy is a magical Disney princess boy, right? So a cat teleports his way to Vel and Dream. He starts getting on all wistful, and he hopes that's like, oh, this cat is a sign of something good, and it's gonna give them hope. But Tommy is like increasingly fraying at the edges from being stuck in here with Dream. Like he has tried so hard to get away from him and his control and the memories of what was done to him, to the point where he snaps and kills the cat.
What? Oh wow, so much for a Disney princess.
Right? And Dream snaps. That mask of affection and sweetness completely cracks. And he's back to that hateful, cruel version that Tommy knows is the real him. Right? And he like completely flips his tune, where he was like, oh, I am going to get out of this prison, and I am going to get revenge on everyone who put me here, and you will be first on my list. Right? Like, it's a complete 180. And you know what? Tommy's like, dude, the only reason you're here and still alive is because of this so-called revive book and your ability to bring back the dead. How do we know that's not a lie, huh? You lie about everything else. I doubt this book even exists. Right, and Dream is like, oh, it does, and it's this back and forth of Dream insisting that it is, because it's the only thing keeping him alive right now, and Tommy, like, just they're spitting, they're battling at each other, and eventually, Dream is like, you know what? You think the revived book's not real? You think that there's no way Schlatt could have had it or that he gave it to Dream? Why doesn't he go ask Schlatt himself?
Oh.
And Dream beats him to death. With his bare hands, like, chokes him out in the cell and kills him. And on March 1st, 2021, Tommy loses his final canon life. Beaten to death by Dream in the prison. Are you okay?
Bro, what the oh.
Are you okay?
No. What do you mean? You just told me no. What?
Yep, he's dead.
Can't come back.
We'll see,
I
We'll
need him back.
right?
He's your favorite boy.
He's my favorite boy. I sucked my eyes out. Okay. And this is where we kind of get into
I
next.
blame Sam.
Oh, you left him there for 9 days?
You said you're gonna come back. That's not coming back. That's more than a week.
Right? It's because he couldn't figure out what happened.
Oh, okay.
Like, nothing else seemed to have happened, but the explosion still went off. Part of the prison wall was damaged.
What do you expect on leaving a criminal with
Yep.
a child?
Like, a known guy. And, like, even if people don't know the extent of exile, during the disc confrontation, you can see that Dream had done something to Tommy.
Yeah.
Like, to make him fray at the edges that much.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get into kind of the two sides of people after Tommy's death. The Celebrators and the Mourners.
Oh no.
See,
Oh yeah, because there's
Bad and Ant, who were guards at the prison, they are overjoyed at Tommy's death. See, that was their biggest obstacle. The biggest threat against the egg. Gone. Dream had taken care of it for them. And they talk to Sam, they're gloating about it, and Sam is visibly distressed over
Your
what
fault.
happened.
Your fault.
And they brush him off, okay? And Sam, despite, like, all their gloating, he insists simply, do not tell Sam Nook. Because Sam Nook is still at the hotel, waiting for Tommy to come back,
No.
right?
Wait.
And they,
No.
Bad and Ant, despite not really taking this seriously and not caring about Tommy, they do stay true to that promise.
Okay.
They don't tell Sam Nook what happens when they run into him. So Bad Ant and Puns, who joins up with them, he too kind of fell under the egg's control. It promised him chaos. They proceed to have a grand party celebrating Tommy's death in his own house.
In his own house.
In his own house.
Bro, that is utterly disrespectful
And
as shit.
Puffy, who was passing by, like, here's the most curious part. She comes by and she's like, what are you guys celebrating? Like, what's going on here?
Where's Tommy?
And when they tell her about Tommy's death, she is enraged. Okay,
As
she
should be.
tears down the party, destroys the cake, kicks them out of Tommy's house. They have no right to be there, right? And she like cleans up Tommy's house and puts it back in order
Aww.
after what they did to it. And Bad Ant and Puns, they're like, oh, dang, our party got interrupted. So they just go to Tommy's hotel instead.
Oh, Sam
They
Nook, tell.
They do not tell Sam Nook
How?
about his death. They don't
I'm sorry,
really
you're
care.
celebrating about Tommy's death in the hotel. Sam Nook is at the hotel.
He just kind of stays out front unless someone calls him. So
Oh, I
they-
don't like that.
they kind of like hijack Foolish's room because Foolish has been staying at the hotel while building his own house.
That's
So he has like
crazy.
the grand suite in the room.
Are you kidding?
So they hijack Foolish's room while he's gone.
No.
Right, and Foolish kind of just fled the scene. He was like, I don't want to be a part of whatever you guys are doing. Right, and enter Mama Puffy once more.
Again, she's come back
Once
again.
again angrier after finding out they once again invaded a space important to Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and she kicks them out again, right? And Foolish, he does kind of briefly return to see what was happening, which he finds out about Tommy's death. And it was like, oh no, because he didn't really know Tommy, my sweet little summer child. But he's like, oh, wait, that's why you guys are partying? What the hell?
Why would you do that?
Right? And another little thing, Foolish too was interpreted to be Puffy's son, like she adopted him. and kind of like, even though he's like a grown man,
You can still
older than
get
she
adopted.
is, canonically, actually. He's much older than she is. She's like, you're my son, and he's like, hi, mama. And he's
That's
like, so
crazy.
tall compared to her, so I can imagine him just like bending down, so she's like, good job, like head pats.
That's
Right.
funny.
So she too is like kind of Puffy's adopted son. And the next day, Bad and Ant, you know, they go to tell the egg the good news. Their biggest adversary is gone. And they find their entire meeting room has been griefed and vandalized by Puffy as revenge for Tommy. And a very big sign saying, fuck the egg. In which I'm like, Mama Puffy. Foolish himself builds a little memorial at Tommy's house. Even though he didn't know him, like,
Wait, no, Tubbo doesn't know.
not yet.
Wait.
So he builds a memorial at Tommy's house. Puffy too visits and builds a statue of like Tommy with his discs. She repairs any damage done to his house. She's the one who tells Eret, who too is distraught, and he joins her as they go to visit Loughdashire, Tommy's exile site,
Oh,
to kind of mourn.
the tower.
And Puffy builds a memorial at Tommy's house where the disc Mellohi currently rests. So she kind of put the disc there for him. Right. Ranboo, Tubbo, and Jack find out about Tommy's death at the same time. Because after hearing what happened, like with the explosion, what's going on in the prison, they go to Sam to see what the hell happened, and Sam informs them of Tommy's passing. And Ranboo, he expresses heavy levels of guilt. He believes himself to be partially responsible for Tommy's death and deeply regrets Tommy, like, he regrets letting Tommy take the blame for what happened with George's house in the past. Like, he should have said something. He should have stood up for Tommy then, right? Like, he should have protected him. And Ranboo, who is
It's not your
known
fault.
for giving Tommy flowers, those alliums, and like that's how their whole friendship started, with him giving Tommy an allium. He goes to Tommy's house and just plants several flowers there. And interestingly, he's in Enderwalk state throughout this. So like I said, it's not just when he falls asleep, it's when he's under extreme stress.
And he is
So
very
he just
stressed.
Fell so distraught that he dropped into Enderwalk. And Enderwalk, again, another difference here, where even though Enderwalk's been helping Dream, it sided with Tommy during the disc confrontation and now mourns the same way Ranboo does, planting the flowers around his house, right? And Enderwalk kind of just pulls out an allium and tosses it in front of his house, in front of Tommy's door, and it just stands and watches it wilt. This grief and guilt from Ranboo, he is very vocal about his outrage against Sam. Alright, Sam allowed Tommy to die, and he questioned Sam's almost pseudo-guardianship over Tommy. Like, do you really deserve to be responsible and protective of him when you are the one who left him there with someone you knew would hurt him?
Oh my gosh, I expressed the
Right?
same hatred.
And Sam said that he thought Dream having visitors would be a good idea. Like,
you
maybe
thought?
it would be a way to sort of, like,
You thought?
yeah, like, maybe Dream would, like, I don't know, change his ways. Maybe if he saw what he was missing, he didn't think Dream would actually
Dream.
hurt Tommy. And Ranboo claimed that either way, no matter if the prison could be getting broken into at that very moment, he still should have let Tommy out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Sam, at first, he tried to insist that letting Tommy out would have been a bad idea in case Dream tried to escape or took Tommy hostage and threatened his life in order to have Sam let him escape. Especially since Sam thinks that the explosion against the prison was a targeted attack.
What?
And Ranboo, you know what? He's still pissed as hell. But he can kind of get the logic behind it. And he's like, you know what? I hate you, but I'm going to help you find out who set off that explosion because Tommy deserves better. And he admits the truth of what really happened with George's house, that Ranboo had been there too. And that burning it down, it had been an accident. They didn't mean to. And his guilt for letting Tommy take the blame for that. And Sam, he, like, reassures him that Ranboo had just panicked. Okay? He, too, was a kid. Okay? And sometimes you don't always make the best decision. And he asks if he can take a look at Ranboo's memory book. To which Ranboo agrees, hands him the book. And Sam, in front of him, writes something down inside it. And upon reading it, Ranboo, once again, like, he kind of does almost another flip, where, like, he kind of breaks down and admits all his guilt and his fear that he helped hurt Tommy. And as soon as he reads the memory book, he kind of switches a little bit, where he once again reiterates that it was Sam's fault that Tommy died. And we find out that this is kind of because Sam wrote in the memory book that Tommy's death wasn't Ranboo's fault, it was his own. So he kind of wrote in Ranboo's memory book that it was all Sam's fault, he didn't do anything wrong, so that Ranboo wouldn't guilt himself over the whole thing. And Ranboo, he's going around, he's distraught over his dear friend's death, and he visits a tower Tommy had built at some point on the server.
Oh.
And he goes inside it to look around, and he finds a chest. And inside he finds all the stuff he and Tommy had stolen from George all that time ago, as well as the allium he first gifted Tommy.
Allium?
The flower.
Oh.
So Tommy had kept it. Even though he pretended like it didn't mean anything, he had kept the flower all this time.
He was, like, scared about the flower. He's like,
yeah.
I'll take
And
it.
Ranboo, he goes to kind of tell the Syndicate what happened. So, like, Techno, Phil, Nikki, and Ranboo, they're all kind of part of the Syndicate. We'll kind of get into when, like, Nikki joined, or, like, sorry, I think I mixed this up. So, Techno offered Nikki joined Syndicate much sooner, but she was still intent on Tommy's death at the time, so she refused. And then when the assassination attempt at Project Dreamcatcher went wrong, she, like, agreed to kind of join up with the Syndicate.
Right.
So Ranboo tells the three of them what happened, and Nikki's, like, both Nikki and Techno laugh. Like, Nikki is more in delight, like, she wanted him dead anyway, while Techno was kind of more in disbelief at what he's just been told. And they insist that, like, you know what, if it's true tomorrow, they'll believe it, okay?
Wait, what?
Like, there's no way Tommy, of all people, would get killed, okay? If it's true tomorrow, they'll believe it.
What about Phil?
Phil, I don't have, like, too many details on it, but he, like Ranboo, was mourning, where he too was like, oh, shit. Right?
Oh.
Like, that's, although Phil and Tommy never really got to interact much, that was still someone Wilbur had cared deeply for. Like, Wilbur had been kind of taking care of Tommy as a little brother, or almost like son figure, so almost by association, Phil mourns. Now, Tubbo's reaction was immediate denial, followed up with a sort of gallows humor, insisting that no, there's no way that had happened. There was no way Tommy was dead. People were probably just messing with him, okay? And we see the return of his habit of repressing emotions. Like, in season 2, when it came to New L'Manberg, and when he first thought Tommy was dead and exiled, Tubbo just kind of shuts down and compartmentalizes.
Because he's like, he believed that he died.
Yes, so we're like, if he
now,
stops working, he will just completely break down. So he kind of compartmentalizes for a while, and this can tie into the fact that he is basically reliving the days during New L'Manberg where he thought Tommy had died in exile. This is a repeat of one of the worst moments of his life. Right, and during this he kind of kind of works with Ranboo for a while. They're building a little inn next to a BigInnit hotel called Boo Inn. So they kind of break on that for a while.
Nook.
And while Tubbo just builds for a while to process all of his emotions, and once he does, he builds a memorial near Snowchester, and it's their bench on this like ice platform near Snowchester and the ocean, and he even adds a jukebox for Tommy's discs as well as building him a proper grave.
You're kidding.
So he has this whole area in Snowchester dedicated to Tommy, and unlike when he thought Tommy had committed suicide in exile, he doesn't repress his emotions for long. Okay? He decides, you know what? Screw it. He is not okay, and he is going to look into what the hell happened to his best friend. This is almost a redemption of his inaction before. So he builds like a secret investigation room under like a fast food joint that Puffy had built, like based on McDonald's. So he built a secret investigation room in there, and he begins to work on an evidence book and an investigation board like on the wall, like with the red strings and the pictures, okay? And he knows that Tommy was beaten to death by Dream in Pandora's vault, but the lockdown itself is still unsolved. Who set off that explosion?
Mm-hmm.
And he investigates, Techno, Phil, even Ranboo. His biggest suspect is Techno, particularly because when sneaking into their houses, he knows that Techno was missing gunpowder, or like had a distinct lack of it.
Oh, but
he even goes to interrogate the egg, but gets no answers from it.
You mentioned that the gunpowder was used for a firework project.
But that was like Aaron and Bat.
Right.
Who,
Oh, just like another occurrence
yeah.
with the gunpowder.
And notably, the only people online when the explosions went off were Tommy, Dream, Sam, Ranboo, and Foolish. So these are the completes. We know Tommy and Dream couldn't have because they were in the cell.
Right.
But that still leaves 3 suspects on who set off the explosion. Sam, Foolish, or Ranboo. In which that's a nice little lineup I got there. Now, I'm going to tell you this now because we don't really get a big reveal later. But nearly a year after all these events, like the lockdown, the explosions, Dream does tell Sam that Ranboo was the one who set off the explosions at Pandora's vault, causing lockdown. That Ranboo himself doesn't even know about this. So it was likely when he was in Enderwalk. And when Sam asks how Dream knew that, Dream simply says, "It's better if you don't know."
The note.
And then, it might have been the note Dream handed, like Dream had Satnap hand Ranboo. Alright? And on February 22nd, the day after Tommy was locked in prison, there is a clip of Ranboo reorganizing his inventory. And after doing so, the first letter of each item in his inventory spells out, he is in control. And this appears to have something Ranboo did subconsciously, because he doesn't address it. So some way or another, Ranboo, while in Enderwalk and under Dream's persuasion, was the one to cause the explosion and get Tommy locked up. Which could add to his extreme levels of guilt, if you were to find out the truth. Like, subconsciously he knows he did it. He just can't remember.
State, he was a bit conscious to know.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And the reason I'm telling you this is now is because we don't really, like, have a big reveal of it later. Like, nobody else really finds out except Sam.
Aw, man. Oh, my.
And the Ranboo himself kind of subconsciously knows. Now, Jack. Like I said, Ranboo, Tom, and Jack, they all find out about Tommy's death at the same time. And Jack, he has been working toward Tommy's death since he crawled his way back from hell. He states that he should feel pride and joy over finally achieving his goal, but he doesn't. And he hates how looking at the ruins of L'Manberg makes him feel. He then eventually decides to take a restart on his life. His goal is complete. Tommy is dead, but he doesn't feel fulfilled. He states Tommy was really his only friend.
Oh.
This kid he got to hang out during the days of L'Manberg, and now Jack has nothing. He burns down his old house. He dons the old L'Manberg uniform, and he just ponders for a while. And eventually, he decides that, you know what? No one else is taking care of Tommy's hotel now that he's dead. So he's gonna almost like put himself in charge of the hotel, and he's gonna keep it running since Tommy isn't there.
Sam Nook is...
No one tells Sam Nook the truth.
Nobody?
Nope, Jack's just like, hey, Tommy, sent me here to take over things, so like if you need anything, I'm here. So Jack takes over the hotel to take care of it while Tommy
He's gonna know eventually.
is gone. And while on his way to the hotel, he runs into Quackity.
Oh, Quackity. We haven't heard of him in a while.
Yeah. And as Quackity's just kind of trailing along behind him, talking about all these things and like this business venture he's working on, he starts asking Jack about Tommy. He's like, hey, and Jack replies that Tommy is no longer in prison. Because, like, pretty much everyone was informed of the lockdown and that Tommy was trapped there. And Q, he's delighted. He's like, oh, thank God, like, they got Tommy out of there. And he's going on, but it's like, hey, dude, I can help you convince Tommy to, like, hey, maybe we can convince Tommy to let you stay in charge of the hotel. Since, like, Quackity had previously approached Jack about working together on a business adventure. And he's like, you know what, dude, I can talk to Tommy with you. We'll see if we can get him in on this. And Jack interrupts him, clarifying that Tommy isn't in prison anymore because he's dead. And Q is the kind of guy who knows what to say. He is witty and outspoken and just has that upbeat tune.
But this time...
But his voice breaks when he hears about Tommy's death, and he becomes soft-spoken. He asks how Sam could have let that happen, how Dream could have done it before just falling quiet. For the rest of their time together, there are several times his voice shakes while he's talking, and he almost breaks down crying. He even stares at Tommy's house for a while before eventually stating that they should focus on business. Like, Quackity, we don't see too much of his interactions with Tommy, but Tommy was, like, his little guy, his little buddy, this, like, rambunctious kid who was always down for whatever weird scheme Quackity had going on, and now he's gone. After Tommy's death, Tubbo and Ranboo, they move in together in Snowchester, where they kind of commission Foolish to build a mansion for them. And during which, while kind of exploring and going to the Nether together, a little zombie piglin child is just waddling behind him.
Oh my gosh, wait.
He follows them through the portal
I've seen fan art.
and home, and they decide to officially adopt him and name him Michael.
Michael?
Yep.
They named the little guy Michael, that's his name?
Yeah, so his name is Michael, and Tubbo and Ranboo actually get married.
What?
At that point in time, it's not out of love. It's just for a mutual protection and tax benefits. Sort of we are really the only ones, like, you're the only person I have left. So they kind of get married as almost an official political protection of each other, and then for the tax benefits, if you want to, like, interpret it this way later, you can interpret it as a romantic relationship later on as their, like, friendship and things grow. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't start romantically, but it can be interpreted that way later. And because of Ranboo's, like, now being legally married to Tubbo, the Syndicate does decide to investigate Snowchester, since it could technically be considered a government. Which during this Phil kind of pulls Ranboo aside, and he promises that nothing is gonna happen to Ranboo, Tubbo, or Michael, okay, and Ranboo does not have to do anything he doesn't want to do. Techno, Phil, Nikki, they go to Snowchester, and while they're kind of interrogating Tubbo, Phil and Ranboo, like, hide Michael upstairs, so they don't know about Michael's existence, and Tubbo, like, he willingly tells them all about Snowchester, how it's an isolationist military colony. He does not list Ranboo as a citizen of Snowchester, nor does he mention their marriage. So they're, like, completely hiding their connection to each other.
No.
Right, because they don't want Ranboo to get in trouble for kind of being involved with the government. And, you know, Tubbo, he does explain the nukes to them, but that they are decommissioned specifically just for a worst-case scenario. And, you know, satisfied that the place isn't a tyrannical government, the Syndicate leaves. Right? And there is a small moment between Phil and Ranboo, where Phil expresses his grief about Wilbur, and to Ranboo, and that he's not sure he did the right thing by killing his own son, and he actually has, like, this portrait of Wilbur in his house. So
Wilbur even said that was, like, one of his happiest moments in his life, of being killed by his father.
Yeah. So that's kind of what's been going on after Ranboo. So we're, like, these two, just out of grief and, like, a desire to have a connection, just they get married, and they have Michael, and maybe there's just maybe there can be a little bit of joy in this whole mess.
Michael.
And then we get to March 4th, 2021. I've kind of mentioned this before, but there is an afterlife. Particularly, it's called Limbo.
Limbo.
And we've seen a few glimpses of this and mentions of it throughout time, where, like, when Schlatt popped up for a while and he was like, dude, don't revive me yet, I'm having fun down here. Jack, too, that's what Jack crawled out of, where he crawled out of Limbo back into his own body. And each person in the afterlife, see, Limbo, I'm gonna really explain this to you.
Okay.
They probably have this in my notes later to really explain this. But Limbo in the afterlife is almost a shared space. Everyone sees it differently. So, for example, you and me are sitting here together. You might see my bedroom.
Yes.
I might see this field of flowers. So while we exist within the same space, we're seeing something different.
Oh.
So each limbo for a person is different. So now Tommy's limbo, some people at first expressed it as, like, maybe it was his beach party during exile where nobody showed up. But we do confirm what Tommy's limbo is, and it is sensory deprivation and sensory overload. So we actually do get to see Tommy in limbo, where he's with everyone else that's dead, but his screen is just black, where there are times where he feels nothing, complete sensory deprivation, and then suddenly it's complete sensory overload, where it feels like his body is just being, like, stretched and squished and mangled.
Dude.
So it's that very rapid back and forth between feeling nothing and feeling everything. And while he's there, he meets everyone else who's dead. See, like I said, Limbo is a shared space. So he pops in, and there's Wilbur and Schlatt. Right?
They're just,
and, you know,
in their
Wilbur...
own space.
Yeah, Wilbur, he's just kind of, like, sitting there. He's playing solitaire with Schlatt when, like, Tommy shows up, and he's like, hey, Tommy, welcome. Right, and I don't think we ever get it confirmed what Schlatt's limbo is. We will get into Wilbur's limbo later.
Whatever Schlatt's is, he likes it there.
Yeah, he's having a great time apparently playing solitaire with Wilbur. Though, while Wilbur and Tommy are talking, Wilbur states that they are better off dead. I mean, look at all the damage they did to the server. There's no reason to go back. People probably wanted them dead anyway.
But
And
nobody
Tommy...
wants Tommy.
Yeah, so
Why?
unlike Ghostbur's sweet support, Wilbur is still insane. He hasn't changed at all. If anything, he's gotten worse in Limbo, and he's like, Tommy, it does not matter. We're better off dead, okay? It's not
That's
like
insane
it's not
to
like our
say.
friends wanted us around. Schlatt too is there, but Wilbur states that he's more often not asleep. And there is a fourth guy here, though he just kind of runs off places. Wilbur doesn't really know where he is.
Guy?
MD, Mexican Dream.
Mexican Dream.
I don't know if I
I
mentioned him before, but like Mexican Dream is a character that previously showed up.
I think so.
Where
I
it was
didn't
like
know he
it was like
dead.
Crackety cosplaying as Dream, and like he was like the first complete canon death on the server.
Oh.
So MD's been like the first guy who's been dead, and he's just been hanging in limbo. What's up? So yeah, MD is there, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tommy is just stuck in limbo with a worse version of his older brother, Schlatt, and this weird clown man jangling about, right?
Oh, mi amigos.
And as he's going through, he's talking to Wilbur, and they're playing solitaire together, but Tommy's really interested in the game here. Even though Dream's no longer around, he's stuck with Wilbur, just like Pogtopia. So he has just been consistently going through it. Okay, and Wilbur hasn't really changed his tune, like, once again, repeating that, like, yeah, nobody cares about them. And then mid-game, he wakes up. Back in the prison cell with Dream. Where one moment he's playing with Wilbur, and the next,
What?
he's alive. Breathing.
The revival.
In that cell
The
with
book.
Dream.
The book.
Where Dream, he said to himself, like, hey, you don't believe the Revival's book is real? I'll prove it to you. So Dream, using the Revive book, drags Tommy back from the grave, because he's not done with him yet.
How many lives does he have?
So Tommy's still once again on one life. He's just been revived.
Oh.
Back to that first life.
Okay.
And Dream starts interrogating him after the revival, and we get a little more details about Limbo. So not only is it just a shared space that different people perceive, but there's a time dilation going on where Tommy's been dead maybe a few days, but for him, from his perspective, he was there over 3 months. So there's a time dilation going on where, yeah, in our real world, only a few times possible. For Tommy, it's been months where he's just been stuck there with Wilbur and Schlatt, and as soon as Tommy's back, he has a resurface of his trauma and his PTSD. All that healing and recovery and coping he had managed to do is completely dashed. Where possibly because of his limbo being that back and forth between sensory deprivation and sensory overload, he's back to that extreme fear of taking damage. In fact, it's much worse now, where he panics at even, like, loud noises or just the sight of a weapon.
No.
Like, he is shaking and just sobbing while Dream is interrogating him to try and find out about, like, Limbo and the way the Revive book felt. And Tommy, he's like shaking, and he like kind of like is like grasping Dream's clothes, and he's like, please, I need you to promise, do not bring back Wilbur. Don't. Right? Because despite Ghostbur's cheery demeanor, Wilbur's still
Wilbur, yeah.
And Dream, he refuses. In fact, he does plan on reviving Wilbur. In fact, that was the whole plan. He plans to enlist Wilbur's help in escaping this damned prison.
No.
And Tommy, he tries to convince Dream that, dude, this isn't worth it. Whatever power this is, it is not okay. Just get rid of the book. Burn it if you need to. And Dream, is like, you can burn it if you want, but I already have it memorized. In fact, he doesn't even have the book on him.
Who does?
He just used that memorization to bring to... I think, like, I don't know, like, I have kind of conflicting notes here on whether or not the book is destroyed or if it still exists. And somebody else just has it. But Dream has it. In fact, he is surprised that bringing Tommy back without the book worked. So it's not the physical item needed, just the information.
Oh.
And he starts talking about the power high and the adrenaline that came from taking somebody's life and putting it back, the complete control he has. And he's been studying necromancy in the afterlife for quite a while now, and he gets almost this euphoric thing, and that twisted obsession with Tommy resurfaces again, and he starts to know that he and Tommy, they could probably be immortal together. Just them, just like Dream has wanted. And Tommy refuses, and he even considers killing Dream before eventually deciding against it. In Tommy's mind, letting Dream kill and revive him is better than being stuck in this prison alone, because even if he does kill Dream, he's committed a crime. In his eyes, he thinks that that's going to keep him stuck in prison if he kills Dream, and he's like being stuck with him, even if it means dying and getting revived. And like, he described it, revival as an excruciatingly painful process, and he decides experiencing that pain and that time dilation of back and forth between Wilbur and Dream would be better than just being alone. He doesn't want to be alone. Yeah, like, he compares it, being revived, to being ground into dust. So like, not only does he have this back and forth of sensory deprivation, sensory overload, but then that extreme wear and tear on his body, which would explain why he's so sensitive to things now, not just taking damage, everything. And on March 12th, 2021, Sam discovers that Tommy is alive, and in complete disbelief. And, you know, he manages to get Tommy out of the cell without releasing Dream. And the entire time, Tommy, now under the protection of Sam, is shouting threats at Dream, and he is venting his frustration at Sam. He is furious that Sam left him there alone and let him die, even as Sam tries to hand him food to try and like in medicine, to try and feel him better and fix his body. And Tommy's just lashing out violently, hitting at Sam and his frustration. But Sam's armor is enchanted with an enchantment called Thorns, which means if you hit him, you take that same damage.
No.
So Tommy is like just batting at his chest, and he takes the damage as well, and he falls into a panic. Like, he's shaking, he backs away from Sam and like curls up into the corner. Sam throughout the entire time has also had his weapon out just to like keep Dream from moving, and he has put it away, and Tommy's just like, he keeps looking at it, he's just begging Sam to put it down, to put it away. He is so afraid of getting hurt and that Sam is going to hurt him. And the guilt Sam must feel. Imagine taking a traumatized and a severely abused child into your care, and you fail them. You betray them, and they are hurt again because of you, and now they can no longer trust you. So Sam is distraught, and even after leaving the prison, and despite Sam's constant reassurances and apologies, Tommy refuses to forgive him and states that any trust he had in Sam is gone. Okay, he begs Sam to ban visitors in the prison and warns him both about the revival book and Dream's plan to escape. Though the entire conversation, he keeps backing away from Sam, keeping that distance between them, keeps eyeing his weapon in case Sam were to take it out again. And Tommy, he leaves the prison, threatens to sue Sam, and Sam just says he's glad Tommy's okay. Yeah. So there are a few things I want to discuss. So first off, I think this is mentioned by someone at some point during this, but I don't know if it's canon. Like, after you die and been revived, your body ages with how long you've been in limbo.
Oh.
So, I don't know if that's canon. I think somebody mentioned it.
Well, you said
and
that.
I think it's canon, where, like, depending on how long you've been dead, even when you get revived, your body will adjust to Limbo's time dilation, not real time.
Oh.
So, if you notice, a lot of people in season 3 draw Tommy with, like, the shoulder-length hair. Some interpret that him having grown out his hair in exile. Well, that could also be because of the months he was in limbo when he got brought back. His body adjusted to that. And he also, canonically, has a white streak in his hair. So from being dead,
Oh my God, that was on the keychain.
hair has stopped producing color. So he just has the white streak in his hair. And it is implied that if he were continually killed and revived, all of his hair would turn white.
Oh.
In fact, there is a very popular AU based on that concept. And this,
No.
I don't think we ever really get to see Tommy and Michael interact too much. But there is the most adorable headcanon that I like to consider. It's part of my fanon. But there's the idea that because Michael is like a little piglin child, he can't speak English very well, so he has a kind of speech impediment. And there's an interpretation that he can't pronounce Tommy's name correctly, so he just keeps calling him Mom or Mommy as like a third parental figure between these three. Yeah, so like Tom was building, it would just be like Tom, Tom, Mom, like that's a really popular headcanon I've seen. And there's so much fan art of it. Okay, now Tommy, free from limbo in prison, now has to figure out exactly what happened while he was booking it with a dictator and a terrorist. Okay, and Mexican Dream. Okay.
No, Mexican Dream's the bomb.
So, while walking around, and like looking at his house, he sees what like Puffy and the others had left for him at his house. The memorial is built. And he does eventually kind of like go down the prime path near his hotel, where he sees B&Boo Inn and Tubbo working. And he tries to like climb the scaffolding only to like slip and take some damage, to which he once again falls into a near panic attack that startles Tubbo. So he too like stumbles back in surprise. And at first he's entirely sure he's hallucinating, seeing Tommy right now, until Tommy touches him and he has a like physical reminder that he's real and alive. And Tommy like even reminds him like, dude, yes, it's me. And he brings up the bench they would sit on together and listen to music to like prove it's him. And while not sharing much about what happened to him in prison, he insists that Dream has in no way been defeated and that killing him is the only safe option for everyone. And he also states that killing Techno might be a good idea too.
What the fuck?
Because Techno still owes Dream a favor from Hog Hunt. So Dream can cash in that favor whenever.
No.
So it might be good to take out Techno preemptively.
I forgot about the favor.
Mm-hmm.
Dream was gonna use the
Alright.
favor.
And Tubbo just kind of like
was busy.
baffled, but he nods along and kind of fills Tommy in on what's happening, like his marriage to Ranboo, and Jack taking over the hotel. And Tommy, he makes his way to the BigInnit hotel, where he is ecstatically greeted by Sam Nook, who was never informed of Tommy's death.
That's good, that's good.
So Sam Nook, he admits to missing him and that he's very glad Tommy is back, and says that Jack quite missed Tommy too. And confused, Tommy steps inside and finds Jack behind the reception desk. And Jack, after his initial shock, flies into a rage, refusing to accept Tommy is alive. And Tommy just kind of ignores him as Jack continues like yelling about how Tommy can't just waltz back in, and how Jack like mourned after his death. And Tommy snaps, like he flips around and yells at Jack to not bring up his death, where he's sort of just like denying it ever happened, like he doesn't even want to think about it. And as the two continue arguing through the hotel, like, Tommy spots a few more memorials people left for him, as well as Puffy's signs that she had left around the hotel stating that the hotel wasn't Jack's to take. Like, you couldn't just waltz in. and have it, and
it's a memorial thing.
yeah, and during this, Tommy just like calls Jack selfish for everything he's done, and Jack reveals that he too crawled back from hell and admits to having attempted to kill Tommy multiple times. Both of which, Tommy brushes off. And Jack actually, pulls out his axe in frustration, and Tommy once again flies into that panic and just starts calling for Sam Nook, and, just kind of runs out of the hotel. So Sam Nook comes in to deal with Jack. Notably, Jack does have a shot at Tommy, and, even pulls out his bow, but lowers it without ever attacking him. So he's kind of done, a complete 180 in his character development, where after Tommy's death, he kind of, realized the wrong he was doing, so now that Tommy's back, he's just reverted to that anger.
He even said that, he felt nothing when Tommy got killed.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And so Tommy kind of heads back to his house, spots some more of the memorials there, as well as the flowers Ranboo planted for him. Inside, however, is Connor.
Connor?
He's back! Again! He's there, 'cause why not? So, like most people...
Connor, why are you
Yeah,
here?
like most people, Connor's, really surprised, just kind of, pokes at Tommy, where he's like, I'm sorry, are you sure you're real? But he's, genuinely chill about Tommy being alive. He's like, hey, good for you, man, welcome back.
Oh, you're not even gonna question it?
But Connor's not okay, he's a man in a Sonic onesie. Okay, I don't think he
Chilling
cares.
in Tommy's house.
In Tommy's house, I guess, because I guess Connor's homeless and he just, books into random people's houses every now and then. Right, he apologizes for kind of stealing Tommy's house, okay.
Kind of.
And Tommy, perhaps finding it easier to talk to someone he doesn't really know, opens up to Connor about being beaten to death and his fear of taking damage, as well as his lack of trust in Sam.
You're gonna trauma dump on somebody wearing a Sonic onesie. That's crazy.
And you know what? Connor takes this very seriously.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, he's put on glasses, tell me about it.
He became a therapist.
I guess so.
He became a therapist.
So and Connor, he agrees that a prison reform is needed. Clearly Sam can't handle this on his own with everything happening. But he is then promptly kicked out by Tommy. Okay, Tommy has had enough of roommates. He would like his house back.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. But he won't do that with Tubbo, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Tubbo has been following Tommy throughout all of this. Okay, perhaps to verify that he isn't hallucinating still, or just to perhaps make sure Tommy doesn't get hurt, it's kind of unclear. But he was watching Tommy interact with Jack from the hotel. He followed him to his house and continues following him after Tommy leaves to walk around again. And Tommy, he stops by the ruins of LoganBerry, which is just this huge crater with the damaged flag in it, and people have put glass over it so you can walk across and look, and the entirety of the ruins is covered in red vines. He admits that life was easier when he was just following a mentor, when he was just trailing behind Wilbur and never really had to handle all of this himself. But now he has to do things on his own. And Aunt Frost does spot Tommy, doesn't interact, but does leave.
Oh.
So Eggpire knows he's back. And while walking around the Prime Path, he runs into Ranboo, in which Tubbo finally comes out of hiding to join them, and he's actually kind of hiding behind Ranboo. Again, this weird disbelief on whether or not Tommy's alive and okay. And Ranboo is confused, but more accepting than the others about Tommy being back, and very happy. He says Sam told them Tommy was dead, and asked if Sam had lied about that. And Tommy assures that Sam wasn't lying, he was indeed dead, but he asks that they don't talk about it. And instead, pivots to ask Ranboo if Tubbo is his best friend now. Cause Ranboo was kind of his buddy.
Of course. course.
And, you know, Ranboo, and, like, when Ranboo agrees, Tommy, like, gets upset about it, and Ranboo, like, tries to hand him an alien once more, but Tommy, like, burns it in the midst of his, like, emotions and just storms off. And Tommy's feelings about Ranboo and Tubbo getting married is complicated. He's highly jealous of both of them and extremely possessive of Tubbo. That is his friend, his one constant, the one thing he kind of thought he'd always have, and that he lost at one point, and now they're married, and he feels abandoned. They just moved on, and on the other end, he's kind of jealous of Ranboo too. Like that was his friend, his buddy, and then now he's Tubbo's, and
it's complicated.
he feels replaced, and he doesn't know about the rage and the grief both of them had over his death and what they went through. And, like, he visits them in their mansion. He tries to convince Tubbo to divorce Ranboo a few times.
Damn!
And, like, while he's there, like, he's like, oh, Tubbo, look at this fantastic flower. Yeah, just stare at that for me for a moment. And he, like, grabs Ranboo by the tie and yanks him down. And he's like, listen here, buddy. And he, like, threatens Ranboo's livelihood. And he admits, he says that he feels like Ranboo stole Tubbo from him. And that he's lonely. And he doesn't like this.
Dead. No.
Okay, and Tubbo is, like, right next to them during this entire conversation, but he's dutifully pretending not to listen to Tommy venting to Ranboo. And eventually he does approve the marriage despite his continued complaining. Okay, and he does remain very close and in a clingy relationship with, like, both of them. We're like, and it's kind of funny how they both just kind of go along with this to appease Tommy.
Ranboo and Tubbo agreed to
Yeah, like they like
they were
both
there.
Yeah, so Tommy just kind of ends up like they're third in this. And like here's the thing, outside of Dream SMP, Tommy has like the like romantic skit going on with both of them, where like there was the time where he legally got married to Tubbo for a year. I believe they're divorced now. And then there was like at one point Tommy hosted the Lover Host, in which Ranboo got like all dressed up just to try and seduce Tommy.
That's great.
And he was like, hey, how you doing? How you doing, Tommy?
So
Right, and I actually have. And I have
polyamorous can't exist with these.
Okay, so like, let me get into that because I actually have a joke about this. So there is actually a scene where Tommy's talking to Ranboo, and he's like, "You got married without me, without my permission."
You were dead.
Right, and Tubbo's like, "Okay, can I have your permission? Does he make you happy?" Yeah. Yeah, okay. And like he like approves the marriage as long as Tubbo's happy. In which, Tommy in it, I would suggest a nice little polyamory for you, but I actually did the math for this. There was an 89% chance of queer couples in this series ending badly, and there was a 100% chance of queer polyamory ending badly.
Are these the statistics?
These are actual statistics.
Wow.
I did the math.
What math?
There was an 89% chance of queer couples ending badly and a 100% chance of queer polyamory ending badly. So, you know, maybe just stay their unofficial third man.
What
okay?
math did you do to get that?
You don't need to worry about it.
What do you mean
You don't need to worry about it.
I am your friend, Marvel. I am your friend. I should know this.
So I wrote down all of the, like, known queer couples. And then I did the math of what ends nicely and what ends badly. And it was an 89% chance of them ending badly. And then when it came to polyamorous queer relationships, there was a 100% chance of them ending badly.
That's crazy. Those are very high percentages.
Very high. But no, I love Tommy being like insanely jealous and possessive of both of them. And they're just like, okay, Tommy, it's okay. Right, in which,
My goodness.
By the way, Ranboo does actually offer Tommy a room in the mansion, where he's like, you can come live with us if you want. You don't want to stay in your house, we will be happy to have you live with us. Right? And I was like, right? And Tommy continues like his little self-tour of the server, in which he stops by Puffy's therapy office.
Puffy!
Because she is like, she's a therapist.
She is the mother.
Right, she's Mama Puffy, and she's not there when he comes by, but he leaves a little note that just says, "Help me." And he just leaves it there, and he walks out of the therapy office and eventually runs into Quackity. And Quackity at first thinks someone is messing with him, and he says it's disrespectful to dress up as the dead. And then Tommy's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll leave." Like, upon hearing his voice, like, Quackity realizes, "Oh, this is the real Tommy. Oh my god, Tommy, you're okay!"
Yes, I'm okay.
And Tommy fills him in on what happened in prison. Quackity, like, curses out Dream and expresses his joy that Tommy is alive and okay. He even gifts Tommy a pet fish. He's like, "You know what, here's a little buddy, I know you love animals."
What's the fish's name?
And he tells him about his upcoming Las Nevadas project, though he doesn't get into detail about it. And he, like... Las Nevadas. Which is like a mix of Las Vegas and Nevada.
The city of sin.
The city of sin, woo!
Why? And that's a developing
Okay.
And he also asks Tommy about the revival book. But Tommy doesn't have much information, just that he was beaten to death and then boom, limbo. And Tommy, throughout all of this, he still feels like people don't really care about him. Just all they care about is how he got back.
No, that's not true.
But during all of this, Tubbo has still been following him. Just to keep an eye on him, to make sure he's safe.
Buddy.
Right? But he doesn't, like, he doesn't reach out and is, like, actually there, but the entire time where Tommy's just wandering around, Tubbo's just right there behind him. Like, just staying out of sight, and it is...
The boys!
My boys! This is why I need to get a Tubbo keychain.
Aww.
Okay, I need to complete the Bench Trio. Which is their, like, official group name, by the way, Bench Trio.
Oh, yeah.
It's adorable.
Oh.
And now we reach the second part of post-lockdown. And it's everyone else. See, Jack has reverted to his old murderous ways. Because he feels like that, like, Tommy just didn't give a care about him, in which really Jack the Kid has more important things to deal with. Okay, I'm sorry you don't feel appreciated.
You are a freaking adult.
Okay?
You
Leave my baby alone! Number one Tommy apologist. He can do no wrong in my eyes. I don't care what you say.
What about the murder?
What? He was the nicest guy around. Murder! There was actually one time Tommy was doing a stream and he was talking about, like, schoolwork and stuff, and, like, he just paused in his stream and was like, "I've got an essay due tonight. Thank you boys for coming to the stream!" And he ends to go do his homework, and is the cutest. So Jack, he finds Nikki. He tells her of Tommy's revival and his feelings about it, and Nikki, however, no longer agrees with Jack or hurting Tommy. She admits
Character development.
Yeah, she
It's
admits
still there.
Yeah, she admits that he was a child and that things weren't his fault. Not Wilbur's death, nor her friends leaving her behind. She's kind of grown. She started baking again.
Oh, I'm so glad.
And
Because her bakery blown up.
She burned down her bakery. She's made a little underground city for any strays like herself. If it's not a government, it's not a place, just where somebody can go if they need a home, like she did.
Like a sanctuary?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she states that Tommy too would always be welcome there if he were to show up. She would gladly take him in. And Jack gets mad because wasn't the whole point of them trying to kill Tommy to move on? But
Nikki did, not Jack.
Jack doesn't see that. He does eventually, like, apologize to her for snapping before leaving, and Nikki does not tell him about her joining the syndicate.
Ooh.
So her kind of involvement with it is a secret. Jack, on the other hand, like, parallel to Nikki here, sees Tommy not as a victim scared and running on survival instincts, nor as the kid trying to appease everyone around him and just following the adults he trusts. He instead sees Tommy as the catalyst, the instigator for all these things happening in the server, and plans once again to kill him. This time with the idea of preventing any revival. And Quackity eventually does visit Jack again, once again talking to him about their business deal, and he expresses doubt that Tommy really would have left the hotel to Jack. And Jack tries to lie and reassures that he's still in on the deal, like, Tommy left him the hotel, he's still in charge of it.
Huh?
And Quackity warns him not to mix work and feelings and threatens consequences if Jack is lying to him about this. Now, Ranboo, after running into Tommy on the Prime Path and, like, really talking to him, starts to question everything. Like, he writes down in his memory book he's alive, just like a reassurance that Tommy is there, and he starts to go through what this means. He questions once again if Sam was lying and how he was brought back, but eventually just settles on the fact that it doesn't matter. He's just very happy Tommy is back.
Is that really?
Mm-hmm. And
Okay.
he does admit that Tubbo is distraught over everything that's happened, but he should eventually come to accept it soon enough. And he firmly states, like, he's kind of talking to himself in chat here, he firmly states that Tommy is Tubbo's best friend, and that he understands why Tommy is scared and angry. And he continues questioning the logistics of death and revival while making his way through, like, the Nether. And while there, he comes across a portal that he doesn't really remember ever passing by,
Huh?
but curious, he steps through and finds himself in Dream's vault from the disconfrontation. And he can make out the scenes of what happened here, what people said, but it's hazy. And this is where Ranboo himself, like, we've known about this, but this is where Ranboo himself finds out that he was an Enderwalk for the whole confrontation, and he remembers the Revive book that Dream mentioned and agrees with Tommy's sentiment that as long as Dream can bring back the villains in this story, he needs to die. However, worry starts to eat at him because he isn't sure how he knew where this portal was, and concludes that his Enderwalk, it's getting worse, more frequent, longer, and Dream needs to die before Ranboo hurts someone he loves. He admits that he is scared of violence and hurting people. He is a pacifist, but he still has three lives, so he can afford to be a little reckless.
That's true.
When trying to take down Dream, and he adds onto his memory book to his original statement, he's alive, but hopefully soon Dream won't be. So, like Tommy, he reaches the conclusion that Dream, he's gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and he begins his preparation. And, like, it's kind of after he decides that Dream should die, that he's like, hey, Tommy, if you need a safe space, please, we have a room in the mansion for you. Come live with us, okay?
Aww.
And Puffy, well, walking around, she visits her therapy office and finds the note left by Tommy. And this is how she finds out he's alive, and she is delighted that he's okay. She removes Jack's sign of the hotel because he, like, rebranded it. She removes it and replaces it with Tommy's name.
Aww.
Before going to Tommy's house and leaving a note saying that she was here for him, and she understands that he's been through extremely traumatic events, and she hopes she can be that stable adult to rely on that he's never had. So she's gone full mama mode over Tommy.
Thank goodness.
And it is the sweetest thing ever.
I love that.
And now,
Yay!
there's the Nuke theft.
The Nuke theft?
The Nuke theft.
Is that going into the explosion
at the dream
Well,
prison or a
I'm about to
different
tell you.
Oh my god.
So while Snowchester was meant to be a sort of front for the Nuke projects he was working on, Tubbo did genuinely grow to care for the place and its inhabitants. So he decides to build a silo a distance away where he can store the decommissioned nukes there. So, like, in case they accidentally go off, like, it won't damage Snowchester or anyone who's lived here. To do this, he enlisted Jack's help, once again. Who was very happy to lend a hand, since his goal was befriending Tubbo to get to Tommy.
That's crazy.
However, once the silo was built and they went to move the nukes from Snowchester there, they discovered that one of the nukes was missing. So they set off the first one. The second one was stolen, but they still have the one left. And Tubbo puts Jack in charge of the investigation, and later Foolish as well. We reach an arc called, or like a little section of the series called Lessons.
Lessons?
And we're kind of back with our boy Ranboo.
Yay!
So on April 23rd, 2021, Ranboo woke up in Michael's room. Michael! He's confused on how exactly he ended up there, but Michael was happy to see him, so perhaps he just slept there with him. You know, made sure Michael got a nice to sleep, because Michael's like a little toddler.
Hi, Mom!
Right. And he later went to go meet up with Foolish, because Foolish is the one who's been building the mansion in Snowchester, like they commissioned him. And Foolish, you know, thanks Ranboo for bringing him the shulker boxes the last time they met, but Ranboo doesn't remember doing that or handing Foolish anything.
Huh?
And quite suddenly, an interesting line sort of just blares into his head, and it is Lesson 14. If you have the opportunity to gain a favor, take it. Momentarily startled by the sudden memory, he quickly excuses himself. He only gets a few steps away before another line. Once again, another sudden memory in his head. Lesson 27.
Oh, there's lessons. They're all lessons.
Do not reminisce on what you have lost, for it will weigh you down. Since Ranboo couldn't find the source of these sudden memories, he figured it was something that happened during Enderwalk, and he's now only currently remembering it. See, over time he had been attempting a few experiments to see if he could trigger Enderwalk or control it, but to no avail. And it seems that meddling with it has caused these memories to resurface. And when Ranboo thinks to tell someone what's happening to him, he's met with another lesson. Lesson 53. Never fully trust anyone. As well as Lesson 67. Leave no evidence of what you have helped with. And he suddenly dismisses the idea of telling someone. Now, the next lesson that blares into his head is slightly different. While the rest were things told to him, he remembers this one being written down. Lesson 94, in all caps. Do not let them know what you have done. Since he remembered this phrase on a page, he figures it was likely written in that unknown fourth memory book that his Enderwalk had. Like, remember when we talked about it?
Where it's like secretly stored away, where
Yeah,
he doesn't even know where it is.
It's stored away somewhere. It's what Enderwalk is using to remember things, and it would detail all of his crimes. Like the one his Enderwalk counterpart has been keeping. And terrified of himself and what he might have done, Ranboo makes his way to the prison and asks Sam for entry, not as a visitor, but as an inmate.
What?
And Sam tries to reassure Ranboo that whatever he's done, he doesn't deserve Pandora's vault. He doesn't deserve to be locked up. But Ranboo continually begs, even threatening to find some way to break in and trap himself inside. And when Sam presses as to why, Ranboo is struck once again with Lesson 94. Do not let them know what you have done. And he physically cannot tell Sam anything. Like, his mouth, like, snaps shut. And with nowhere else to turn and Sam refusing to lock him up, Ranboo decides the only person he can ask for help is himself. So in his memory book he writes, "What am I?" and splashes water on himself to trigger Enderwalk. So, like I mentioned this before, that the Enderwalk is triggered when he falls asleep, when he's in stress, like we've seen with the note, and when he's in pain. Because he is part Enderman,
Water does hurt him.
water damages him.
Oh, he's done self-harm.
To trigger Enderlock. But we're gonna leave him here for now.
You always leave it like
I know.
when somebody
We're
is
jumping-
going through it.
Yeah, we're jumping between a
Jump
lot
away.
of perspectives here. And we're gonna get into Las Nevadas, episode 1.
What? How many episodes?
Like 4 or 5, I think.
4 or 5. Oh.
And this is where we're finally getting into Quackity and that business proposal and his project he keeps mentioning.
The Las Nevadas.
Yeah, so now we're getting into what Quackity has kind of been doing throughout season 3. And this is a very cinematic thing. So, like, this one is, like, fully scripted compared to everything else that's kind of been improvised. Like, this is, like, one of the best parts of this series. Like,
Is it like a side thing?
yeah, so it's kind of like Quackity's side series with it. But it is, like, canon and it ties in heavily with the main story.
Okay.
So we're going to be covering everything 1. And it opens with a shot of Schlatt's grave in the rain. And snippets of his conversations with Q during Manberg, how he wouldn't disadvantage him. And the shot ends with a scene of the prison. And we cut to Quackity beefing with Bad Boy Halo atop of Tumbo's
crazy.
tower. And Bad is upset, stating that Quackity keeps getting in his way regarding the egg. And to which Q was like, in my defense, I did warn you I would. See, Quackity and Bad Boy Halo, they're friends, they're buddies, and he's been watching his friend fall into the possession of the egg.
Mm-hmm.
And so Quackity's been getting his way of it, right? He calls Bad, like Q knows of the egg, but not exactly what it can do, the extent of its power. He feels a distaste toward it and shows no interest. He calls it stupid and claims Bad is just an asset that the egg is using. And Bad gets highly defensive at this, stating he serves a purpose and people like Quackity wouldn't understand.
Mm.
And Quackity spins that on its head to saying he knows power. And Bad wouldn't understand. So stop wasting his time. Bad reiterates for Q to stay out of his way, and Q just claims he'll show BBH what real power looks like. And we cut to them traveling somewhere and coming upon a large structure that Q's been working on.
Ooh.
And we cut. Once again, we see Quackity again at night as he's kind of just working around his base, and he finds a chest just in the middle of his base out in the rain. And inside it is a book he hasn't seen before. The first page of the book cusses the reader out and insults them, insisting that, like, get out of here, F you, don't read this book, right? But the second page takes a different tone, and I'm going to quote this for you. If this falls into the right hands, you know who you are. Don't pay attention to page 1. If this isn't the right person, fuck off!
Again.
But if this is my sugar pumpkin, then you have to do the following.
My
sugar pumpkin.
Did J Sled wrote the book?
And inside are instructions for Quackity to ride a railroad track that's been built above his base. Or like above one of his farms, to the coordinates X558 and Y26. Q, already suspecting who might have wrote this book, follows the instructions to a cave underground. Although hesitant, he enters and finds some sort of makeshift gym, to which he is greeted by none other than Schlatt. Though not him in particular, but Schlatt's ghost, one we've only seen once before when they were attempting to first revive Wilbur.
What?
Right? And Schlatt's ghost, who is dubbed Glatt by the fandom. Like how we have Ghostbur, we have Glatt.
Glatt.
Right?
That's cute.
Alright, and
ghost.
Glatt, interestingly, appears to be the exact same person as Schlatt, aside from Ghostbur and Wilbur, who are two different entities.
Wow. So it's the same entity?
But he too, so Schlatt and Glatt are the exact same person, but he too suffers from memory issues, though he does remember Q and affectionately greets him with the pet name Sugar Pumpkin once again.
Pumpkin.
My Sugar Pumpkin! So Glatt has been running this gym pretty much since he got, heart attack. And strangely, unlike Ghostbur, who has free reign to wander around the server, Glad's stuck here. His body starts to fall apart as soon as he tries to leave the cave.
So it's like a spirit being trapped in a haunted house type
Mhm.
of. Oh my gosh.
And he also mentions that Quackity is not the first to have visited his gym. See, Glad describes that he's had a few visitors. One is a man with a beanie and an annoying accent, as well as the smaller kid, who he mentions was killed by Dream. So, Tommy and Wilbur,
Oh.
though he doesn't really appear to remember who they are and his beef with them. Just a man in a beanie with a strange accent and a smaller, annoying kid who was killed by Dream. Right? And somehow this gym that he's in exists both in Limbo. So I think this is Schlatt's Limbo, the gym, and the real world. And this is not the first time the Limbo inhabitants have crossed over. Or like Limbo has blended with reality. Like at the end of the disconfrontation when Wilbur visits Tommy at the bench and tells him he's proud of him.
Oh.
So it's not the first time Limbo has blended with this life. The veil thins every now and then, at least enough for them to peek through. And Quackity is unamused by all of this, okay? He states that he didn't have to come down here. Him and Schlatt had a horrible relationship, and even attempts to leave before Glad convinces him to stay, saying that he wants to learn Spanish, but he doesn't have anyone to teach him, and Quackity's like the best person he could find. And, Quackity, reluctantly agrees to stay. Fine, he'll teach him some Spanish. Alright. And Glatt mentions that, perhaps he could leave the cave and find someone else to teach him if he was revived. He tells Q of the revive book, right? Because Schlatt had it first before it got passed over to Dream. So he seemed to have, died with the plan of being revived. Just not yet. Remember when they tried to bring back Wilbur, Schlatt said, "Don't bring me back yet.
Yeah.
I'm having fun down here." So he seemed to have always planned to have possibly been revived, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the two make a bet, okay, on whether or not Glatt gets revived. If Glatt gets revived, they'll kind of go back to her, or if he has to stay as some kind of, ghost servant for Q. And Q likens the conditions to what he previously did, with working with Sal, constantly just adoring him and being by his side and that kind of thing.
Okay.
The next time we see Q, he decides to visit Dream in prison, during which he meets Sam. The two go back and forth for a long time on whether or not Quackity can be allowed in, but Quackity persuades Sam by saying they were business partners, as Sam had been helping him with his project, and Q had proven to be trustworthy before. How could he trust Sam, though, if he was so uncooperative? He points out the incident with Tommy, and how all of that was basically Sam's fault, and as long as Dream had the book, Dream still had the power.
Wow.
Sam agrees to let him visit, to which Q then asks if he can bring in some tools.
What?
Sam at first immediately refutes, but Q promises that he can get the book from Dream. He can get Sam back control. Sam just has to let him. Eventually, Sam relents and actually hands Q his own weapons and gear and turns a blind eye.
Are you kidding me?
Now Q's talk with Dream in the cell starts simple, casual, till Q brings up the revive book. Dream says it doesn't matter. He burned it, and he's the only one with the information. To which Q places down the axe, and the sword, and the shears Sam had given him. And he states he'll get answers, even if they have to do this every day. So to learn about the revive book, and possibly a little revenge on Tommy's behalf, Quackity starts torturing Dream.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
And there is a little epilogue to the episode of him dismantling his old nation, El Rapids, in the rain. And it's just this quiet scene of him tearing down his old nation, El Rapids. Alright. We've taken a break. I had to change my shirt because it was getting hot. We got the Princess Bride and Inigo Montoya, and we have emotional support Balu with us after what Logan has gone through. Okay.
The best part is I got him
Mine is
40%
open.
off in a Disney store.
Yeah, sales!
Sales.
Let's go, my boy!
Oh.
Yeah! Alright, let's get back into this. So, Las Nevadas, episode 2. Right?
Okay.
So Q keeps his promise of torturing Dream for 29 days.
Yes!
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 That's like that's like you are now my hero.
The amount of like almost more days than Dream has had torturing Tubbo, both in exile and both
Tommy.
in
You said
Tommy.
Tommy.
Dang,
That
I
is
keep
actually
mixing up their
double
names so
the
much.
time. That is double the time.
Because
it was 2 weeks for Tommy, and he's like, I'm gonna pay it back double, buddy boy.
Well, it was 14 days plus the 9 days that
Mm-hmm.
Tommy got his name. Tommy was in the prison cell with Dream.
Yeah. So, Q has been torturing him for 29 days. But episode 2 actually goes back in time for a bit, okay? Episode 2 takes place 3 days before episode 1. Right, where he goes to torture Dream for the first time, okay? And it kind of explains what Q has been up to during this season and how he's involved with everything. And the episode starts where we get a short scene of 3 cloaked figures riding on horses toward the prison before cutting back to 3 days before. So we have, or 3 days before Quackity's first visit. So we have 72 hours before the visit, in which Quackity visits Sam on a small desolate island after Tommy's death. Sam seems to have retreated here secretly to have some alone time to mourn and handle his guilt, claiming it a peaceful place to build a memorial. Contrary to what Q says in episode 1, where he guilts Sam for Tommy's death, here he says Tommy's death wasn't his fault and that Sam had always been kind and attentive and responsible for everyone he's cared about. Sam refutes this, to where Q changes gears, and it says wallowing just isn't Sam, okay? His time would be better spent putting Dream in the grave. Alright? And this piques Sam's interest, and he agrees to leave his little secret island with Q, going to the basement to retrieve and re-don his warden's gear. Okay? Well, initially hyped about, like, kind of getting revenge against Dream for what happened to Tommy, that kind of fades once they arrive at the prison as Sam begins to have doubts. He kept Dream locked up at Tommy's request. It was the one thing Tommy trusted him to do, not to mention Dream had the revive book. Would killing Dream be following Tommy's wishes? And Q claims that Tommy would want Dream dead for what happened, but Sam backs out. So he backs out of killing Dream, and Q says that someone has to teach Dream a lesson. And if Sam won't do it, he'll do it himself. Their project doesn't have room for such a mentality or emotions. Right? So Q has kind of taken up the mantle of, like, protecting Tommy. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna get revenge on Dream for everyone involved. Alright? Thank you. I know, I didn't think that would work. I was just doing the motion.
Not a setting.
Right?
I hope
Nice.
I get cut.
Right?
Okay.
Okay? 48 hours before the visit. After speaking to an unknown person, Q finds out and gains the location of the egg room.
Oh.
Right?
Uh-oh.
He manages to sneak inside BBH's base and rigs the whole place with TNT. But before he can set it up, he is interrupted.
Oh.
Alright? He says he's doing this to say Bad that they were friends, that they can do big things without the egg. But Bad disagrees, saying how he needs the egg and this is what he wants. Q would be betraying him by doing this. And Q just says he wants his friend back and lights the TNT. Well, the egg remains it does do some damage, and Q flees. So that explains in episode 1 of Las Nevadas, where it opens with Quackity and Bad Boy Halo arguing on Punz's tower. That's what they were arguing about. Q blowing up the egg. Because this is 2 days before they had that argument.
How does it work, though?
No, the egg is still there, though it is damaged. Now, 24 hours before the visit, or before episode 1, while heading up to the prison, presumably to talk to Sam, Q runs into George, who, while not entering the prison, has been standing in front of the entrance for seemingly a very long time, staring at the doors. And George thought this hasn't visited his dream.
This whole time?
This whole time.
Dude.
They haven't even really been friends. Dream took him off the throne and cut him off. But they, like I said, these two have a romantic chemistry. They have the really deep connection, and George can't see him, but he misses him. So he's just standing in front of the prison and can't bring himself to go in. Because he believes Dream doesn't care, or maybe Dream doesn't want to see him, or he's still angry about what happened. And Q kind of walks up and stands with him, and he admits it's nice seeing his friend again. Like, George is one of the people involved with L Rapids, like, that's his buddy there, and Q hasn't spoken to George or his fiancé, Sapnap and Carl, in ages, right? They have a pleasant talk, and we finally really hear about what this new project Quackity has been working on, Las Nevadas. It's a sort of country inspired by Las Vegas.
Country?
Yes.
A country
or like a nation.
By a state nation. Oh my.
Yeah, inspired by Las Vegas, and it's sort of like an upgrade from L Rapids, since, you know, George, Sapnap, and Carl helped with L Rapids and helped build it. It's only natural that he'd invite them to be a part about it. And George is, like, a little confused by this new project, and he asks, well, what about Konoko Kingdom? Like, yeah, well,
Hasn't been brought up.
Yeah, but what about Konoko Kingdom? And Quackity is
What about it?
confused. He doesn't know what that is or why it matters. And he assumes that it was something bad was up to, because he's seen the posters of Konoko Kingdom around. He just assumes it was something bad was doing, probably around the egg or something like that. And George explains that Konoko was suggested as a new home by Carl, since L Rapids didn't seem to be going anywhere. And George and Sapnap agreed, and George said that Carl was supposed to go and tell Q about it. They thought he had known the whole time and just didn't show up to help. And Q reiterates that he has no idea about this, and Carl hadn't spoken to him at all. And the two part ways, equally confused, and Q asks George to, you know, say hi to his fiancés for him. And the epilogue of this season is another scene in the past. And it is 12 days before the L'Manberg election. So we're jumping way back to season 1 here, in which it cuts to Wilbur and Quackity walking around L'Manberg, talking, and Q asks Wilbur, you know, why he's done all of this. L'Manberg, he means, and Wilbur states that it's for the safety and happiness of his people. Q, at this time, holds Wilbur in high regard and expresses his admiration for him and wants to know him as a person, not just as a political rival. At first, Wilbur refuses, since it's close to the election date and they are going to be, like, on opposite sides quite soon, but agrees after some probing. And Q says he respects Wilbur. He doesn't want to fight with him or overthrow him. He believes everyone has a good side and just wants people to feel accepted.
That's interesting to add when, like, in the past, we barely hear anything from Quackity and Wilbur in, like,
yeah, so, like, these
together. So to
these
hear
two
from
did
this,
interact, but now we're getting more of what we didn't see in season 1.
That is really interesting. I like
where
that.
these two had been talking, discussing with each other. And I forgot to, like, mention this, I think, on camera before, but these two are implied to have something going on at some point. Like, I think these two did have a bit of a flirtatious relationship during, like, Pogtopia and the Rebellion.
Really?
Yeah, and, like, they made out in a closet during someone's birthday party. I don't know when, but I think it was before season 3. So these two, like, have some history. Okay? Yeah.
What?
Right, and so Q is like, he believes everyone has a good side and just wants people to feel accepted. And he admits to his own lack of belonging and even mentions that when he first joined the server, Wilbur wouldn't let him join LoganBerry because he wasn't British. And Wilbur, interestingly, pointedly disagrees with Q's optimism. And I actually have the quote here. This may, if people have actually seen the scene, this may be in the wrong cadence, but I'm gonna be reading it. So it's, you say everyone has a good side, Quackity, and you're right. Everyone has a good side. But that good side is only there to help themselves. If you want to really help people, you're gonna need power, Quackity. And that's what you really want, isn't it? Look at me. And power isn't gained from diplomacy and bureaucracy and giant courthouses suspended in the sky, blah, blah, blah. It's gained from swords, Quackity. It's gained from blades. It's gained from steel, iron. Even if everyone has this good side that you're talking about, then anyone who wants to prove it has to show their dark side first. You're going to have to kill. You're going to have to torture. You're going to have to maim. When I look at you, as a fellow outsider, you're not ready for that. And during present day, after 29 days of torturing Dream, Quackity's standing at Wilbur's memorial, which was built at the bottom of the LoganBerry ruins, where they have like this shrine where they've left like little offerings and presents for him. And he writes a note saying Wilbur was right all along. And he places it at the memorial. Distantly, you can hear sirens.
What?
And that's the end of episode 2. And we will get more into Lost Nevadas, but I put this in like timeline order. Yeah, sirens. So I put this in timeline order. So that's the end of Lost Nevadas episode 2. And now we get into the arc, to like the little section which I've labeled divorce.
Is it?
No, don't worry. Don't worry. Our OTP lives another day.
Thank goodness.
Right.
Yeah, another day.
So, Bad and Ant have begun preparations for what they're calling the Red Banquet, claiming it will be something like peace talks, to which they invite Sapnap, as you know, Bad's adoptive son, Sam, Puffy, Foolish, Hannah, and Eret. All to varying degrees of willingness on whether or not they want to come. And so, like, Hannah is quite reluctant. Puffy agrees to go just to see what's up. Sapnap goes to kind of, like, support Bad. And Foolish and Eret don't really know what's going on, but they accept to come. And on April 21st, 2021, while preparing for the banquet, Bad notices Skeppy atop the egg and tries to convince him to come down, because these two are both possessed by the egg, but that's putting a strain on their relationship. See, Bad, he convinces him to come down, but Skeppy refuses, telling Bad to leave him alone, and to no avail. Bad then tried to convince him to go for a walk, maybe like they used to do, but that was also denied. The whole reason Bad fell into the egg's possession was because he was promised Skeppy. He was promised to keep his love and his desire forever. But ever since Skeppy got possessed too, they've been at odds. Bad attempts to keep Skeppy away from the egg, but only gets called selfish. And this leads to a physical fight between the two, in which Bad pushes Skeppy into the lava, screaming, "It's just a stupid egg."
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So these two have a complete fight. Now, I don't know whether or not Skeppy dies here. Like, yeah, he loses a canon life, but I don't know if he's dead. 'Cause I don't think we see him in the series after this. Like, that might have been his final canon death. And, like, we get a scene of him just walking around his house back to normal, and that's, like, assumed to be his limbo. So, Skeppy, I don't think he might, like, I might just be forgetting him, and he might be later in my notes, but I don't think he shows up again after this.
That's Skeppy doesn't show up.
Yeah, I don't think so. So Matt has just basically killed the love of his life.
That's why you called it a divorce?
Yeah. But that's not the only divorce going on here.
What? There's more? You should have called this divorces.
Sam, too, has had a little romance going on since the beginning. See,
With whom?
he has been dating this guy named Punk. And I've mentioned him a few times. He was the one with the piece of the egg.
Yes.
That, like, gets died. So these two have been romantically involved
That
for
was
quite a
one.
while now, going on, like, dates throughout like, the server, and right?
Oh no. But
And
this is
Punk,
a
like,
divorce.
was temporarily possessed by the egg, and, like, it's just these two, but things have been strained ever since Sam has become the prison warden and the egg has been introduced. And Punk steals one of the key cards to the prison. And Sam is, like, not having this, okay? He's already had enough shit happen with this prison between the explosion, the lockdown, Tommy dying, like, Dream possibly setting up to escape. He can't have Punk adding more to that. And in chasing, like, him down, Sam actually kills him. Punk loses a canon life as well as the key card. And in a rage, Punk steals the remaining 11 key cards, just to F Sam, and these two get in a fight, and Sam eventually knocks him out. And Punk wakes up in a small room underground behind glass. And Sam is on the other side.
What?
And Sam is demanding the key cards back. Right, and Punk, he continues, he denies even having them, into which Sam flips a switch, and lava pours into the room, taking Punk's second life.
Are you dead at? Bro.
Flips the switch back, the room clears, and Punk respawns in that room. Right, still behind the door, and he gives up 10 of the key cards. Right?
Oh, but one of them is...
But Sam knows there's one more. So he takes his weapon, and he cuts off Punk's arm, taking both the arm and the remaining key card before letting him out.
Oh my goodness.
Literally cuts off his arm. Punk, bleeding, like, runs out, and he hides out with Nikki in her village, in which they kind of hook him up with a prosthetic arm after all of that. So those two are completely broken up now, and Sam has been under, like, extreme pressure and mental distress over everything that's happening, but also he too has been in and out, affected and possessed by the egg. Punk as well. So it's both with the egg's influence and their own strain that causes this rift between them. And Punk and Foolish were also friends, but their friendship was ended because Foolish, like, before this time, had gone on a date with Sam. Like, so these two had, like, gone on a date, and, like, their friendship got ruined over this, because Punk still loves Sam, and, like, got so jealous over it. So, yeah, that happened.
That happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now we have... I don't have a picture of Punk, unfortunately.
I know, I was just looking
yeah.
over.
And now we have the Red Banquet. This thing I've talked about before. This event with the egg and the peace talks.
I think I faintly heard about this,
Yeah.
but never fully in depth.
Yeah, and this
Wow.
took place on April 25th, 2021. So the banquet started without a hitch. Some attending, some not. Like, I don't think Sapnap shows up, but Errett, Foolish, Puffy, Sam, and Hannah do. Right?
Okay.
A few of the guests made speeches, and during this, like, Punk is there as well.
He's on his last life.
Yeah, he's on his last life,
Okay.
and I think he's, like, fully possessed by the egg at this point.
Aww.
So he's talking, like, about the egg, and he's making a speech, and Sam, who's sitting next to Foolish, is just staring at him. and he whispers, "You're beautiful."
What?
But Punk doesn't hear him.
No.
Foolish does though, and he just kind of looks over, but doesn't say anything about it. So like Sam and Punk still love each other, but there's just like that rift now. Right, and Bad, he stands up, starts his own speech. As he talks, he has like a bit of visual effects going on as like lava pours down the walls, and he goes on about the egg and how great he is, and he's so glad everyone showed up because it'd be really tough to track them down and kill them all on his own. The peace talks were obviously a lie, okay? And Bad reveals that the banquet was just to get them all in one place, and he revealed that the egg was getting ready to hatch.
Oh.
They just needed a few more sacrifices
to
make that happen.
The Red Banquet.
Now, Puffy had been suspicious of this the whole time, so she had actually hidden weapons under the table within the room. Like, for her, Hannah, and Sam had agreed, like, dude, if things go wrong, we're just gonna handle this ourselves.
That's
right?
Good. Of course. We're
right.
talking about the egg pyre.
Mm-hmm. But Hannah, who, grabs the weapons, does not hand them to Puffy and Sam.
No.
Instead, she hands them to Bad and the egg pyre, revealing her betrayal and her own possession of the egg.
Hannah, no!
So unfortunately,
Hannah!
while Sam was busy dealing with Tommy's death and Dreams attempted escaping with Punk, he had neglected to keep an eye on Hannah, who was vulnerable.
Hannah!
And she had fallen into the egg's control.
Oh my god.
Right?
Dude,
Now, at first, Bad targets Eret. Right? But Foolish steps in front of her, and he's like, hell no.
In front of her?
Right? And he, it is revealed at some point that Foolish does have some kind of divine powers, as I mentioned before, particularly summoning lightning.
Yes.
But his powers don't quite work here.
Oh, why?
And he dies. Right?
As his first?
Yeah, like first canon life, he dies. Right? And this is where he loses his immunity to the egg. Where, being killed in this room makes him lose his immunity.
No.
And Bad then proceeds to turn on Puffy, blaming her for Foolish's death, and that's her baby. She is distraught and heartbroken. She's screaming at them, while they were trying to kill him, and he blames her for Foolish's death, saying none of this would have happened if she had just stayed, if she had just agreed to work with the Empire. They wouldn't have to do this. And during this, Quackity Purpled, who I haven't talked about in ages, he's still here.
The alien.
And Technoblade make an entrance! They break into the Red Banquet.
Sup?
Alright, and when Quackity failed to convince Bad to stop what he was doing, he handed in Puffy an axe. And Bad's like, what are you gonna do, Puffy? It's 4 of us against you. And she just goes, oh, really? Flips the axe and just cuts Ant Frost into the floor, killing him and taking one of his lives, right? And between her, Technoblade, and his hounds, as well as Purple, the egg pyre has to retreat and loses the egg. So they kind of our little pro-omelet gang now has control over the egg in the egg room. So they seal up the egg for experimentation and to see if they could learn to control it. And now Ranboo, while not attending, was spying nearby. Nobody else had really quite seen him, but we as them, he's in an interesting garment during this. He has the blindfold over his eyes, as well as a cloak.
What?
And it's unsure what he was doing at this time, but later he collected a few items, and like his previous messages before, the first letter of them spelling out, I won. What this means we are unsure of, as Ranboo was an Enderwalk during the Red Banquet. This is one of the rare times we get to see Enderwalk's perspective. And on April 28th, 2021, Ranboo receives an answer. See, like, remember when he had wrote in his book,
Who
What
am
am
I?
I? And flashback. This is where we get his answer.
Oh.
Where he wakes up, checks his book, and finds a note from himself in Enderwalk. And it reads, I am someone who stops conflict. I need to make sure that if any conflict arises, to try and help in any way possible. And in full caps, make sure that everyone is safe. Stop conflict. Make the server better. This is what I need to do. Trust me. And while glad Enderwalk was communicating with him, Ranboo didn't think it made sense since there wasn't much conflict going on, and even then everything Enderwalk had done before just seemed to encourage it. But since he couldn't stop Enderwalk, he decided to adopt that same belief, to see if he could do better himself, and maybe if he could stop the conflict, Enderwalk wouldn't be needed anymore. And now we reach a little section I've dubbed Tower Times.
Tower Times?
Yes. See, after the Red Banquet, and while visiting Ranboo and Tubbo's mansion, Tommy elaborates on his plan to kill Dream. Okay, stating they should stake out the prison until Techno returns the favor he owes Dream. He also states that as long as Dream can revive people, he'll likely revive the dead before targeting those around Tommy. And Ranboo entirely agrees with this, because he is kind of pinged that Tommy is Dream's favorite little victim, right? But Tubbo is hesitant about all this. He's been hesitant toward conflict before. He'd really like to handle things peacefully as he can.
Yes.
But the three, nonetheless, decide to build a tower near the prison just to keep an eye on it. And Tommy finds Puffy's note in his house, right? So I think they have a bit of therapy sessions. She like gives him cookies, and it's really sweet.
Oh.
And while gathering materials for the tower, Tommy feels unsure, and like kind of talking to himself amidst that Tubbo has been treating him differently after his revival and his worry about that. They eventually meet up with Ghostbur, who's just been kind of floating along, doing his own thing this whole season. He's been hanging with Phil and such, right? And Ghostbur is still interested in revival. Like, he doesn't want this pain of being alive, and dealing with the fallout of his alive self, but Tommy's adamantly against it. Right? And, really quite interestingly, Ghostbur shares no memories with his Limbo counterpart, and doesn't know what happened while Tommy was dead. Like, reinforcing that these two are two separate people, unlike Schlatt and Glatt, who appear to be the exact same. They briefly talked to Sam Nook about their plans, but backtrack when Sam Nook shows disapproval and states that he would have to tell the prison warden if they wanted to recruit Sam Nook into this. Like, he's like, I gotta report to my boss if you get me in on this. So they're like, don't worry about it, Sam Nook. Don't worry about it. Tommy and Ranboo do at one point visit Dream's vault, and they find Ghostbur's sheep friend, and they free her, as well as Tommy's pet cow Henry, who he got like a second one after the pet wars. So they kind of free them. And Tommy throughout this has been shifting between like his exile behaviors and overstimulation, where he once again starts like not just that fear of taking damage, but also that like weird longing for death and suicidal tendencies, where that has been resurfacing as well. And he like expresses his fear about this, and he agrees to some exposure therapy with Tubbo and Ranboo. So like they'll do like slight damages just to try and like get him used to it again, or they'll visit locations that they know was pretty traumatizing for him. Like they rebuilt I don't think they go to Lancashire, but they rebuild like the final control room where Eric betrayed them to kind of like introduce that. And they do visit like Eric's museum, because Eric has been working on a museum throughout all of this.
Yes.
In fact, he reaches out, he was like, do you mind if I take that like recreation of the final control room and use it in my museum? And Tommy's like, yeah, sure. And while they're looking through it, Tommy's still kind of mad at Eric over everything that happened. Like, these two never really had time to make up.
Right. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And he sees Eric write something in a book before putting it in a chest in the final control room.
Mm-hmm.
And when Tommy opens the chest and reads it, it just says, it's just a note saying, I'm sorry. because Jared has felt guilt ever since he betrayed Lemberg, and these two do kind of make up, and Tommy forgives him for everything that happened.
Nice.
And you know, Tommy does kind of get fed up with the hotel and Jack and everything, so he enlists the help of Sam, Nook, and Tubbo, and they kind of blow up the hotel as like almost like a rage room type thing, where they're like, screw it, Tommy needs to cope, let's blow something up. So
Tubbo's bombs.
Yeah, they don't use the nukes, but like they use the TNT.
Oh my god.
And this is a really interesting canon thing, but Tommy like canonically has the greatest puppy eyes known to man, and there is a scale of people who are affected by this. So there is Tubbo, who is like completely immune to it. He's been around Tommy long enough, he's grown used to the puppy eyes.
I'm sick of your shit.
Right? And then like directly in the middle of the scale is Technoblade, where he'll complain, but he still gives Tommy everything he wants. And then there's Ranboo on the complete other end, who like, Tommy just goes up to him with the puppy eyes, and he's like, Ranboo, can you hand me all your items, please? And Ranboo just like blacks out and gives Tommy everything. And then like Tommy's running away with his gear, and Ranboo's like, what just happened? We're like, Ranboo is like immensely weak to Tommy's puppy eyes. Like he legit. Yeah, so we're like, Tommy goes by, he's like, Ranboo, can you get me a bunch of TNT, please? Yeah, Tommy, of course. And then like he's just like, what just happened? What did I do? Right. So that's just like a canonical thing, Tommy and his puppy eyes.
Dang.
And
that is actually a good order.
On July 9th, 2021, Tommy gains himself a new friend named Shroud. See, Shroud is a spider that, while Tommy was walking around with Foolish, this spider, which are usually hostile creatures,
Yes.
just like has been like following behind Tommy and just like goes up to him and like doesn't attack him because it's the daytime. He's just like following Tommy around, and Tommy's like, oh, did you come all the way over there to me? And he decides he just like picks Shroud up, like names him Shroud, and decides to keep him. He states that Shroud is his new best friend.
Aww.
And Shroud is actually like named after like someone on Twitch with the same name.
Why do you mention Shroud?
So the reason I mentioned Shroud is because there's a mix of fan interpretation here on whether or not Shroud is a pet, like Henry, your friend, or a child, like Michael and Fundy's adopted son Yogurt, who, like, by the way, that happened in the back. So Fundy has adopted a little white fox.
You haven't mentioned Fundy in a long time.
Yeah, Fundy's been in the back. So I've seen like a 50% on whether or not Shroud is. I personally like to interpret Shroud as like Tommy's kid. Where like this little spider kid just runs up and just like grabs his sweater, and Tommy's just like, you're mine now. Oh. So Shroud is now there, and he's living in Tommy's house. So that's later, like, wait, January, February, March. So on July happens a bunch later, right? I'm just stating that there because I didn't know where else to put it. But on April 29th, 2021, Tommy decides to kind of enact an attempted murder on Dream, right? And he's gonna use Ghostbur for this. Like, he's gonna have Ghostbur get into the prison, and they're gonna distract Dream and all of that, right? And then Tommy's gonna hopefully kill him. So Ghostbur, my sweet little baby boy, goes to visit Dream in prison, unaware that this is Tommy's murder attempt. He's like,
sacrifice.
Yeah, I can go in there for you.
Oh yeah,
right?
Sacrifice.
And he is secretly caught by, and like he's secretly followed by Tommy. But Tommy gets caught by Sam, like halfway through this. And Sam's like banned any visitors in the prison aside from Hugh. And during Sam and Tommy's ensuing argument, Ghostbur, because like there's like a lava bridge kind of separating the cell and the rest of the prison, and like the lava bridge activates where Ghostbur is on one side in the cell with Dream, and Tommy and Sam are on the other, and you see Dream just grab Ghostbur and start dragging him back. Oh my gosh. And Tommy is like screaming for him, and Wilbur starts panicking and was like, Tommy, I'm scared. And they start doing something that Ghostbur used to do to help him. So whenever Tommy was panicking, Ghostbur Tommy was like, okay, we're gonna count down from 10, okay? And they start going through it, and Tommy's like, it's okay, you're gonna be okay. And they start doing the count. Like the 10, 9, 8, down,
7,
down,
6,
down.
5,
And when
3,
when Ghostbur and Tommy hit the number 1, Dream fully pulls him back, and the cell shuts off. So Tommy can't see what's happening. So Tommy races out of the prison. He goes to Ranboo and Tubbo, and they're like, and Tommy starts petting. He's like, he got Ghostbur. Shit, he's reviving Wilbur. And they run to Wilbur's memorial site in the ruins of New Lemanburg, where they find him, laying there, alive and resurrected. And let's talk about Wilbur, what he's been up to since he's been dead.
Because
See,
he got more insane.
Yeah, so Wilbur's been dead a long while, and with the time dilation, he's been dead a few months, but for him, it's been over 13 years.
Is that
in
why
Limbo.
he has the white hair?
Yep.
Oh.
So with his revival, he too now has the matching streak of hair with Tommy, right? And his Limbo is this dark, monochrome, empty train station, where every now and then the train will just pass by, and it's based off of one of his album covers, in which, like, so he's been isolated in Limbo. His only interactions really like playing solitaire with himself or with Schlatt, and that monotone, like, repetitive nature of being stuck there for 13 years. All it's done is make his sanity worse.
Oh.
And that isolation and that loneliness and that rage and the guilt and shame, all of it mixes together until the train passed by again and for the first time stopped. The door opened. Dream was there, and he tosses Ghostbur in Wilbur's place and pulls Wilbur onto the train.
No, but Ghostbur, no!
So Ghostbur is now trapped in Wilbur's Limbo.
No!
And notably, his Limbo is a little different.
Mm.
See, well, it's pretty much the exact same as Wilbur's Limbo. What there is a sign where normally it would be like the train number and the destination and the expected time. It's quotes, and it's what people are saying about his alive counterpart. So Ghostbur is just now stuck there alone with that.
That's insane.
And I'm wondering if there's a difference in whether or not you're revived using your body or with a ghost.
Mm.
See, Dream presumably had Tommy's body when he brought him back.
Yes.
Right? Because Sam didn't know, like, Tommy's revived, like, so... And it's unclear whether or not Sam, like, took his body out and actually, like, buried him somewhere. But Dream presumably had Tommy's body when he brought it back. He didn't have Wilbur's. He presumably needs something, like, physical of them to bring them back, hence why he needed Ghostbur to bring Wilbur back and didn't do it before.
And Tommy gave Ghostbur.
Yep, unknowingly.
No.
So with these two swapped, because these two being almost separate identities, almost Wilbur's soul split into two people, he never reconnected with himself. He never got back those good, happy parts of himself that Ghostbur represented, so he is now a more broken man than he was before, and there is no way to fix it, not with Ghostbur and Limbo.
Oh.
And Dream, and Wilbur, now revived, holds almost an idolization toward Dream, where he already kind of, like, started that almost, like, weird admiration of Dream's chaos and power and damage. It is become a complete godly worship of him, where he was trapped there for 13 years in a prison and torture of his own making, and Dream was the one to drag him out of it, to free him.
Oh no.
And Ranboo, he goes to tell Phil about Wilbur's revival and his declining mental state, and
Oh.
yeah, and like he states that Wilbur's not okay. He's not a good person. This isn't something good that happened. And Phil kind of goes around looking for him, but finds Fundy.
Oh.
And the two talk for a while. Like, this is the first time he's really talked and gotten to know his grandson. And they're going back and forth, and Phil talks about, you know, the letters Wilbur would send him, telling him about Fundy and Sally and Lemanberg, and, you know, like, winning the election. And Fundy's like, my dad didn't win the election. Schlatt did. And we find out that Wilbur had lied in his letters to Phil, saying that he had won the election so that Phil wouldn't worry.
It's just like Ghost Spur.
And it might be why Ghost Spur has the false memory that he won.
He believed lies.
This manufactured reality.
No.
And Ghost Spur does kind of get a little bit of a happy ending. I think I get into more detail about this later, but I'm going to cover it here now.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I do think I cover this more later. But Ghost Spur, he does not remain alone in Limbo.
Or...
there is a lot more information about him that I just, like, haven't looked into. But Friend does appear in Limbo, where, like, XD appearing to take some pity on him.
Oh.
Like, brings him Friend. So Ghostbird just has Friend, and they're together.
So is Friend alive, or is he dead?
We'll get into that later. Like, that's in my notes. But Friend, I don't think is, like, necessarily killed, and more just sent
Okay.
to Limbo, because we established that Friend was, like, immortal before. So XD kind of takes some pity, and then I think I get into more detail about this later. And a little extra detail for you before we end part 1 of season 3. We're halfway through.
Oh my! Oh, there's 2 parts in season 3.
Yeah, that like I've done.
Okay.
On May 30th, 2021, while walking outside of Technoblade's cabin and talking to Phil.
May 30th is my birthday.
Yeah, Ranboo noticed that a spruce forest had appeared outside the fences around the place where Phil and Techno were living, which was not there before. And when he asks Phil about it, Phil says it was an enchanted forest, made by magic. That's why he had grown so quickly and almost overnight. And Phil briefly wonders to himself if it could be her, before quickly saying he was going to bed. And that's where we're ending part 1 of season 3. Her.
Huh.
That is the only thing he says.
And we get more into that?
We will get more into that.
But
So you've made it through part 1
Yay.
of season 3. How are you feeling?
Wow.
Wilbur's back. Like, you
That's
noticed,
not good.
when I brought up the white streak in Tommy's hair, I thought you might notice the white streak here, and I was like, don't spoil!
I've noticed, but I'm like, I'm not gonna bring that up
Yeah.
until it's an appropriate time, and
So,
Dream bringing back Wilbur
Yeah.
is the appropriate time. Oh my
yeah, and I think I do
gosh.
later in my notes get into more about kind of Ghost Burn, what was happening to him.
Wow.
But yeah, that's kind of season 3 part 1, where we've covered like the egg pyre, Tommy's death and revival,
the resurrection.
Wilbur's revival, their marriage, their kid. Any like questions or clarification needed, or things you want to say before we end recording?
Yeah, that's good.
Alright, good job! Alright!
Alright.
Thank you for stopping by for this part. I haven't really had like a proper outro, I think, previously.
Oh yeah, we were just going bye bye.
Bye bye. I may or may not turn all these parts into like a full movie or something. I don't know. It'll take God ages to do. For those who have read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I would like to talk to you about the infamous meme 6-7.
No.
See, here's the thing. Now, a little math for you guys. What is 6 times 7? 42. And in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when they ask the supercomputer, what is the answer to life? What does the supercomputer say? 42. Just think about that. Think about that. But now, we've done it. Thanks y'all for tagging along. We'll probably get back to this tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
In our time.
Good job. Okay, bye.